Oh, when was that? Probably.
We'll start off with talking about unleaded things. I don't know. I'm going to go on a guess and say most of this stuff happened in the 70s.
Okay.
The CFCs out of cans, which were destroying the ozone layer in the south of the planet, Antarctica. Luckily, it happened there. Do you know about this?
Yeah, wasn't there a dude that invented like something for the engine, and then he also invented like something with aerosol, and then
Yeah, this guy. Yes,
also,
I
can
don't.
swear.
You could say whatever you
Okay.
want. Yeah. I have no sponsors and I have no money, so I have nothing to lose.
Okay, so I'll turn the Glacier Mist logo forward.
Yeah, when you have no sponsors and no money, yeah, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
The worst would be like YouTube can demonetize.
that's true. I don't know if it like a heavy kid fan base.
No, I don't think so.
Family friendly.
I mean, I don't say that many bad things, but I don't care what my guests say, and sometimes I will. I don't really swear too often inherently, but I could care less if other people do it, especially in a private adult situation.
Okay.
But yeah, people say whatever they want. I like that though. I like that the guests can just do whatever, because I hear a lot of YouTube videos now where they bleep stuff, and I'm like, it's just two adults talking,
Right.
and they say like, ass, and they like bleep it. I'm like, why? Like,
A lot of that is the monetization.
it is. That's the only thing, because they used to not do that, and they started doing it. Like really hardcore people that are just say whatever they want. They're starting to bleep. It's annoying. But anyway, CFCs. I don't even remember what it stands for. It's an abbreviation for a very long scientific word that were in the aerosol cans.
Okay.
And it was destroying the protective ozone layer. Really bad. It would have gotten. We might not exist anymore if we didn't fix that.
Really?
Yeah. It was catastrophic.
Huh.
And luckily it happened above Antarctica where no one lives. If it would have happened, I mean, I think that's something to do with the magnetic field, and maybe that being the right polarity, out of phase with the northern pole on the north part of the planet, and maybe that's why it started to build up down there. Just like you get a lot of stuff going on the north and south pole because of the polarity of the magnets, and you get, the aurora borealis. Oh, it's what protects us. It's what protects us from solar flares and things like that. The magnetic field, just like the magnetic field in this microphone is how we speak to each other.
I'm terrible with that. Like when I try to understand, like when I got really into mixing, like it goes over my head so easily.
Yeah, I could say it. I could explain it to you as if you were 3 to 300 years old. However dumb or wise I could articulate it, because it's all I do every day, all day, teaching it. So
I guess
like a lot, and I read a lot about it, and I'm very much obsessed with it. It's a unique thing how microphones work, these transducers, but we don't have to go into a college course. And I wish we could look up who it was. We could probably find out on our phones. CFCs and then leaded gas. I don't know if he was responsible for lead in paint, but I'm guessing the 70s probably. I think they did, the U.S. government in 73 did an environmental, like EPA, a law. And I think like asbestos, lead, those types of things that are just in everything behind on all the tile. If you see little tile on the ground that's under, I think they're 9 inches by 9 inches, the thinner tile that's like old, smaller ones, those are asbestos. And when you see like the 1 foot ones that are bigger, I don't even know if they did that on purpose to differentiate them. I'm realizing that right now as I say it, but maybe they did to let people know, like, if they're bigger, they're good. If they're smaller, be careful, wear a mask. Like, yeah, I've messed with that stuff a lot, unfortunately.
Really?
Just working on my old house where you once went to. It was very old. And, like I had to replace everything all the time, and I was replacing the carpet, and there was these little tiny 9x9 tiles that you can just go over. Asbestos isn't so bad until you disrupt it and like mix it up in the air. Well, I didn't know that, so I'm yanking out the nails that hold the little pieces of like 1 by 3 foot. They look like wooden rulers, but they have little nails facing upward, and that's what holds the carpet. That's what the carpet catches onto. And when you are busting those out of a floor that once bolted down or nailed into, that was asbestos. In doing that, you're like bringing it into the air. It was 2 years ago. I'm still alive, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as your lungs don't hurt.
No.
Or is that how that works? You breathe them in?
I think it can give you like lung cancer and brain damage. Yeah, lead is really bad. It could be responsible for most of like brain damage and IQ depreciation in people just from having lead in your body.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know how or why we're talking about this. Tell everyone who you are. I just realized we've just been ranting about.
Well, my name's
stuff.
Emma, and today I'm here because should I be looking at the camera?
You don't have to. There's only one. So
Okay. Should I restart that?
No.
Okay. I don't know. And I'm here because I fix pianos, but more importantly, I fix electric pianos, particularly vintage electro-mechanical ones.
And how in the world does someone your age, around 23, right? How does a 23-year-old get into such an old school like skill and craft? Because it is.
The piano world or just in general?
The electric,
Okay.
like fixing things like that.
Well, honestly, the fixing was always kind of there. My mom says it was my great grandpa. He was an aircraft mechanic in World War II. And all he did was fix things and make things. I'm not too good at building from scratch, but if
Okay.
it's there and nobody's fucked with it, I can do a great job.
Okay, I mean that's important.
Yeah.
A repair person it's a very still like niche thing,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's obviously
And
different from-
nowadays, when everything
God.
is just like made to be rebought and stuff like that. But no, I started with, from what I can remember, like typewriters. I'm big into film cameras, so I
Okay.
was into those a lot. But my little side gig in high school was fixing up typewriters.
Really?
Buying them off Facebook Marketplace, selling them for like $50 extra.
And this just came from just being curious how things
really,
work?
I get really intensely into something. And for some reason it was typewriters. And they're relatively easy going in terms of, unless it's, if it's 100 years old and in like a pile of dirt, then maybe it'd be harder. But most of the time when it's just needs some lubrication or some
I
mechanical
was going to ask, is that
issues,
like the first thing that usually goes wrong is the lubrication?
usually it's just a good clean. Because after a while, if they're using the wrong lubricant, either WD-40, something like that. So it's gunked up all of the hammers that would punch into the paper. So you're cleaning between those, and usually that's the only thing that makes it sluggish. The actual mechanism between the key and the hammers isn't really anything that can get too clogged up. So it's mostly cleaning, and after that, like some 3-in-1 oil. But also, people don't know where to get ribbons, like the ink ribbons that you use. So I had a crap ton of those. Just
Where
pop
do you
them
get
in.
those?
Online.
I mean, I figured, but like,
Yeah.
is there a certain website or
There's
eBay?
some cool.
or-
Chicago's pretty big. There's Chicago Typewriter, who I think they are based in Downers Grove now. And they're an independent shop and repair thing. They do their own ribbons. You can get some cool colors, some
But
green.
they're called Chicago
I think
Typewriter?
Chicago Typewriter Chicago.
Oh, so they used to be in Chicago and left?
Well, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know where they were. I didn't stalk them. I just found them on Instagram. But that was kind of my main thing. And pianos came, I started, my main job is acoustic pianos. So I tune those and repair them. 3 days a week now. It used to be 4 days a week.
Okay.
Now 1 day a week is electric pianos.
Okay.
Got too big.
Do you do it at your own house or somewhere else?
So I go to, my acoustic piano stuff is pretty much entirely at other people's houses.
You go on location
Yes.
repair.
I do a lot of high schools, colleges. Well, not a lot, but enough. I prefer the home places. Kids are all right, but they get you sick and they.
It's just a lot of people. It's a bunch of stuff.
And then sometimes they book you when like there's a class,
It's not as private.
and then you got like 80 eyes on you.
Right. You even have to start worrying about like your breath, your hygiene. Like seriously, when you're working with one person versus like a bunch of people, maybe our principals there. I don't know.
No, I do. I wear a mask every time I go into a home. And I started kind of after COVID, so it was technically a COVID thing. But when I'm in someone's home, like being selfish, I don't know what you have going on in your home. I don't know if someone had tuberculosis last week.
You don't want to know what I have going on in this studio. I got laundry.
Exactly. So a nice mask. But people, which is nice because, I don't have to if my breath smells.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about it. Sometimes they're like, no, I got vaccinated. I'm like, no, this isn't for you. It's for me. But anywho, no, I do that. Pretty much go to people's homes. And then the electric piano stuff started, technically it started in high school when my first band, we got into our big fancy studio. It was a studio out in Aurora called Kiwi Sounds.
I've heard of it. I know of it.
Cute little barn studio.
Yeah.
Not cute. It was giant.
What was the name of your band?
We were the Local.
Just called the Local? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it was 4 of us, and we pretty much survived all through our... I was a freshman. They were like juniors. So all through my high school career, I was with them. But we recorded...
Piano player?
No, guitar.
Oh, who would have thought?
I did... Yeah, guitar I've been doing for like 10 or so years. And then piano only like 4.
So piano's younger to you, but it's the thing you work with the most.
Now I'm doing it more than guitar. But no, we went to the Kiwi Sounds, and they had Rhodes.
Oh.
And I've always heard the Rhodes. No clue. At the time, I couldn't differentiate a Rhodes from a Rhodes. I'm like, it's the same thing. But I put it on the track. It was so nice. It felt horrible. It was so heavy. It really needed work. Sorry. But
it's funny. We got to articulate. You said Rhodes and then track. So people might think you're talking about the land out there, the highway system, trains.
Sorry, the Fender Rhodes. The Fender Rhodes was a subsection of the CBS Fender company, and they basically made electric-mechanical keyboards that used tines and a pickup to amplify through like a guitar amplifier. Mm-hmm. And they had one.
and also a rotating speaker. Did you ever use the rotating speaker ones? The Leslies?
Weird enough, they did actually, but they didn't have a Leslie. They had this funky, I forgot what it called, but it was just 2 speaker cones on a one like a flat horizontal, or what does that be? Vertical surface. It was weird.
Rotating like this?
Yes. It was like a DIY, and they mic'd it on the bottom, so you get kind of the...
Oh, so you get a tremolo effect. A different kind of tremolo effect.
It was weird. It sounded nice. They had a little Hammond. It was one of those, like, the compact ones, like maybe the M100 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's what they used instead of the Leslie. They may have had a Leslie, but the Rhodes, I think they just DI'd it.
Okay.
But we used that, and it kind of, I've always been interested in them, but at the time I was still really guitar. So when I thought I was spending a lot of money, I had spent a lot of money on guitar.
What kind of guitars do you
Electric,
have?
usually.
Which kind of electrics?
Ooh, I'm definitely more partial to Fender.
Oh, me too.
I like, the older, I like their colors. I'm biased. What I'm really now into is the Mustangs.
Mm-hmm.
They're
so
cheaper.
you're
Exactly. I keep bumping this.
It's okay. It's a bumpy table. They are cheaper. And they're
cheaper. I like the tones I can get and kind of the out of phase, right? That's how it works. I find it really cool. And I do prefer single coils distorted and fuzzed out more than a humbucker. So that's kind of, and the scale. I forgot, that's the biggest thing.
What's the short scale?
I love the short scale.
Yeah.
And the body's just nicer. The
24-inch scale. 22 frets. I know.
If you say so.
25.5-inch scales for Stratocasters,
Okay.
Telecasters, and Jazzmasters, and then I believe 24 inches Jaguar and Mustang. They are shorter scale by 1.5 inches.
Really, Jaguar too.
Mm-hmm. And in doing that, usually they are another fret more in scaling for that.
I always thought the Jazzmaster was like longer. It always felt longer.
it's the same scale as a Strat and a Tele at the 25.5. It's the contour body sticks out further, goes out further, and I believe it might have a slightly bigger headstock. But it's really the shape of it. It's really the length, like of the physical body has a slightly different. It feels bigger because it doesn't have all the cutaways.
Okay.
It has like a slight curve, but the Strat has so much cutaway to it that it physically makes it literally smaller. And I believe Jaguars are the heaviest of the Fenders.
They seem like it.
I believe they are the heavier ones. They just have a lot more components. The tailpiece, the bridge, these things way more. Body's more. I'm such a dork. I had an email Fender once because they had the wrong information in an official Fender book of guitars. And I had to email them to correct
They're
it.
like, look at this dude.
They said the Jazzmaster came out in 62, and I was like, the Jaguar came out in 62, Jazzmaster's 58. How do you guys not know your own history?
Yeah, that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, because that matters in that era because there's so many things coming out every year that it really did make a difference. And when it's all relative to how important that is based on the technology at the time, Yeah. I don't know where we got to get to. Oh, you own, so you said Mustang?
Yeah, so I didn't really ever have the idea of getting a Rhodes. I mean, they're giant, they're heavy. They're honestly the most impractical electric piano that I work with, at least.
Yes, they are.
And because of that, it's harder to ship. It's harder to get out the door because most people that buy from me, they ship. So I love a good Rhodes. I prefer the sound, honestly, to the Wurlitzer. But just hauling one is no fun.
What do they weigh?
So the 73, the stage, which isn't like the cabinet with the speaker, I think it's right under 120 pounds.
Okay.
And then with the 88 key, you're looking at 150.
Okay, like an adult human being, about, give or take.
And the 88 key is the one I decided to buy. No, that came after I started it was about, let's see, a year after I started my piano technician stuff. And there was one, and I was making actual money now. Because before I made picture frames at Michael's. So I was a framer. So I did that for my photography, got free frames.
Okay,
right.
I'm seeing this through. Okay.
And then once I started on piano tuning, and I pretty much went on my own immediately because nobody else was looking for like someone to work under them after I apprenticed. So I was making a lot more than I would minimum wage at Michael's. Living at home, I was like, there was this dude in Gary who was selling a 88 key Fender Rhodes for $1,500. And it wasn't bad. All the keys were white. The lid wasn't like broken in half. Legs, a sustain pedal, the whole kit and caboodle. I think I talked him down to like $1,300. And then, which is already a low enough price at 15. So to get 13, I was like, okay. And he even drove it out to Tinley. So
he kind of met you in the...
Yeah, because I was going to drive out there. Oh my gosh. Just thinking about this. I was recovering from a hernia surgery.
Did you get it from lifting 88 key, 150 pound speaker pianos?
Skateboarding.
You skateboard when you have these delicate hands that make you your living?
That was before, it was COVID. It was COVID and I wanted to do something. And I started skateboarding.
It makes sense. You were what, like 19? That makes sense. Yeah. I would do it too. I mean, I did do it. Yeah.
Why not?
At that age.
If you end up in the hospital, then you get COVID. You die. My mother was not psyched.
You don't want to end up in the hospital from skateboarding. I've done that a lot.
Really?
Yeah, not fun. Not fun.
You seem like a skateboarder.
This wrist 14 years ago, it's still messed up from breaking it. What didn't help is I broke it and started to play. I was continuing to play my instrument with the broken wrist, with the cast on, which was a big mistake.
Well, at least you had the cast on.
Yeah, but bending it so hard,
Oh.
like this shape, it should have been more straight for longer, and I was just constantly bending. Yeah. But anyway, skateboarding.
Yeah. So I had a hernia, and I was 2 weeks. Gosh, was it even 2 weeks? I couldn't. It was still in the period where I couldn't lift. And I did not lift this Rhodes. He was a nice, giant black man, and he just went, and moved him. And he said, he showed me a photo. He was a roadie for Michael Jackson.
Damn, Gary, this makes sense.
Right, exactly.
Gary,
and he
Indiana,
said I would lift these up staircases, 5 flights. And so
awesome.
what we did is he just, I backed up my Pontiac Vibe and right next to his GMC Trailblazer or whatever, and we just slid it over.
I would love to hear his stories, that guy.
He was pretty reserved. He said he confirmed it wasn't anything in his estate, Michael Jackson's estate. So it wasn't any like Michael Jackson Rhodes.
Well, just the stories of him like lifting up equipment for Michael Jackson.
No, he said he was doing it for like 30 years.
Oh my God.
So he said that he got the Rhodes, I think, from a studio friend because he wanted his daughter to learn to play, which is a crazy intro to piano.
Yeah.
That'd be it felt terrible. I mean, poor girl. Her fingers must be like iron.
Yeah, they hurt. They're like, that's, yeah.
So gave it to me. And then that was kind of my journey, my start to the repair world. Did I tell my parents? No, I don't think I did. I think I showed up with the for reference, the 88 key Fender Rhodes is a solid 5 feet. It's like the length of an 88 key piano. So at 150-ish pounds and looking like a casket with the lid closed, I pulled in the driveway and asked my dad to come help me. And they were like, where the fuck are we going to put this?
Yeah.
So they graciously let me put it in the garage. And it was November, like December-ish. So in the December garage, I went to town leveling it all, which what helped a lot was the Rhodes. Same with the Wurlitzer. Their platforms are still very acoustic piano based. When it comes to leveling keys, anything with the keys, they're mostly identical with acoustic pianos. Someone's going to get me on that.
When you say level, can you articulate?
Yeah. So each key, I should have been a nerd and brought a key. So you have your key, the actual white part you see, the natural, and then there's a pretty long wooden stem after that would connect up to some sort of part of the action, which when you press down the key, that will move up, and usually a hammer will hit something.
Okay.
On the Rhodes, or like any acoustic piano, there's a rail in the middle of the key. That's like is that a fulcrum? Kind of where it balances, where it's like a teeter-totter.
Yeah.
That middle part, there's punchings under there, little paper punchings. And you raise and lower the key with those punchings. You add them or subtract them.
Okay.
So over time, what happens is when you keep pushing down a key after 40 years, it's going to get depressed. That felt under there is going to get depressed, and your keys are going to kind of slump down, get a little uneven.
Yeah.
So leveling it is making sure they're nice and flat.
Is that why on a piano, like an acoustic one, you'll see like those dead keys that are kind of like just slumped down a little bit? They're not perfectly level with all the rest of them?
If they still work fine, yes.
They still work, but they're not as loud. They're like ding, like a little bit softer. Almost
I
like
would
a
say
dead...
no then.
Okay.
That would be an action thing. Usually something like a jack or something.
Oh, okay. Because I see that all the time on like an old piano at a church. Or like one of the keys is just kind of lower. They're like sacking down.
Yeah, which is a lot more common. That part in there. Anywho.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at suppressing my nerd out.
No, don't suppress
okay.
it. Have you not been hearing me take your stories, go on side tangents about specifics and years?
Well, then for your key, what happens is anything in the action. So the action is basically what takes the force from the key and hits some sort of string or like sound maker, whether it be a metal rod or a full string. In that action, there are different parts that move, and in each part that moves, there's a flange, so a metal pin, and then 2 felt rings on each side so that they move but don't have too much friction.
Sure.
Due to humidity changes and swelling, the felt can get larger and more friction can come along.
Is that the best material to use for this task?
Yeah. Nowadays, some companies start like Steinway at one point tried changing things, and it turned out horrible. And like it turned into like this goo. I don't really off the top of my head remember what they changed out with, but it wasn't felt, and it just started like oozing after a while.
Did they not test it?
Well, like back in the 40s, 30s, there was a lot of plastic parts in cheaper spinet, smaller uprights. At the time, it was a great cost-cutting measure. Now they break when you breathe on them. So that times 200, because you got 88 keys, 3 different parts in each key. At the time it worked. Maybe in 20 years after, it kind of worked. But they got their money. So it worked for them.
I could see felt being better.
So felt is out, felt and wood, honestly. Nowadays, Yamaha and a lot of modern brands are starting to incorporate some plastics and stuff, even like some carbon fiber.
I was going to say carbon fiber. Plastics are risky because although plastic lasts a long time, it dry rots easily.
Yeah.
It falls apart. The actual molecules might be there for 400 years, but it doesn't keep its actual structural integrity. especially with like rubbers and stuff. They dry out so easily.
So yeah, that too. I feel like nowadays tuners, our thing are like the plastics and the spinets from the 30s and 40s. I think in 50 years it'll be the plastics from the fancy uprights, the expensive ones.
The Steinways, So they use plastics in there.
Yeah, Yamaha uses a lot. The wood for like their main structural stuff, and some of the main structural stuff in the action, but a lot of plastic for that. Pretty much all modern, unless you get, funny enough, the cheaper you get, the more wood you'll see.
Interesting.
I mean,
what's with the sigh? You tell us how you really feel.
I'm not good. Unlike you, I'm not good with the reasons why they do it. I only see what happens and what I have to do because of that.
How did you learn how to do all this? If your background is not this skill, how did you learn all these things? So that's only 4 years of piano, right?
Yeah.
So
we got an acoustic piano 7th grade, so middle school. And it was for my mother to learn. She never learned. But my father and I kind of learned. He learned more than me. I was a choir kid, so I knew what was what and the trichords. But other than that, I didn't actually like play songs on it. It wasn't until 2020. It was during COVID, so it was right after I graduated high school. Like August of that year, our piano tuner finally came back. And we had him come every year. We were a good person, a good client. And he came back, and we didn't ever talk much. I was always kind of which is funny looking at it now when kids hide from me. I was the one that hid from the piano tuner. At 18, I was at my room. I didn't come out. I didn't talk to him.
Yeah.
So it was my father, and he was talking, and he always kind of talked to our tuner. And now that I think about it, I wouldn't want to be talked to. I don't like it when people talk to me when I'm tuning.
Well, that takes away the whole point of what you're doing. You have to use your ears to listen to what's happening.
I don't know how far in. I'm hoping he didn't talk to him the whole time. Probably when he set up and then packed down. Hopefully.
PSA announcement for whenever someone comes to your house to work on something, leave them alone.
And
no matter what it is.
Your Zoom call will be interrupted. It will be loud. Yeah. And your children will probably be angry.
But just anything. Someone fixing a pipe, installing a mirror, tuning a piano. Just leave them.
That's true.
Let them do their thing. Talk to them afterwards. Or guess what? They probably have to do this all day, so maybe just let them go to their next job and leave them alone. That's my thoughts. PSA announcement.
The perfect, anywho.
Is that not true?
No, it is. I wish there was I almost thought about making an option on my online scheduler, like a introvert option, where I just say, hello, how's your day? And then just do it, and then say, this is how much it is, and then leave. Just, you don't have to talk to me. We don't have to make that awkward conversation. That's honestly the most stressful part of my day.
But it's the most important part.
It is.
Because how many gigs do you get from people passing
a decent bit
your name around?
A lot of it also is from Google, though.
There you go.
I do. When nobody else does Google reviews and you have 100, you're going to be popping up.
But why are the Google reviews so good?
Because I do a good job.
Because you're not a social
That's true.
Who's just ignoring people and give me your money and leave.
Yeah.
Their reviews wouldn't be so hot. Humans don't like people being rude. Even if they're doing a good job, they don't like it.
No,
not unless you're famous and rich. They don't like you being rude. Otherwise, then they'll suck up to you anyway.
They can be, yeah.
So it pays to be nice and chat.
Some people, some of the older people, no. Everybody around me in our field is really nice. And so far, I haven't had anybody.
Oh, the older people in your field are not so nice? Jaded?
No. But on the forums, oof, the piano technician forums, it's a war zone.
Let's talk about it. I want to talk about forums because I know nothing about forums, blogs, Reddit.
I hate
4chan, 8chan,
16chan,
all the chans, this chan.
I would not go on 4chan. Don't do that. Reddit is fine. I do. If you go on the electric piano subreddit, I am officially now a moderator. So if you get deleted, it's all
I'm gonna go on there and just start causing mayhem.
Well, the problem is
I'm looking for an 87 key piano. Can someone help me?
Yes.
An 86 key piano. Can someone help? Just
Those are
every.
it was made like 12 years ago, and it's all posts about digital pianos. They're like, my Casio's broken, and this is not. There's a digital piano subreddit that has a lot more followers, and so the whole time you have to go, sorry, please go here. But I was never a mod, and the only mod was like some dude that made it 12 years ago.
You're so 23. I wasn't a mod of the Reddit subreddit, the subtext of the Reddit.
So I asked him like last week. I'm like, hey, dude, like you see this shit? Like, let me just clear it out. He's like, sure.
How do you become a mod?
Wipe it, dude. I just messaged him.
A previous mod? Who creates the original mod?
The dude that made the subreddit. So that was the only moderator.
Oh, so you can just create a subreddit?
Yeah.
And then just be like, I'm the moderator? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to make all kinds of esoteric things. Yeah. You know?
But no, like the power trip is real. You know, when you could put...
Oh, of course it is.
Delete, and you can go reason.
Uh-huh. And it's real on the inverse. People saying whatever they want on the internet because they're not doing what you and I are doing. Cowards. They're behind keyboard. There's no repercussions of just being like, actually, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, you would never talk to me this way. People don't talk like that.
Hopefully.
They wouldn't. Cowards. I'm going to say this right now. You would never talk this way to someone. It's rude. Be nice. But that's the reason why I stay away from Reddit. It's insane. But I have heard the subreddits are better.
Instagram will Reddit, I mean, it's a lot of... I feel like at least the places I go, it's pretty nice.
Right. I've heard if you go to like very specific subreddits, it's, you know, broadly speaking, fine.
Like, who's going to Reddit to look on the front page? Like, what? Like politics? Why do I want to see politics?
Was that they have a front page? I don't even think I've actually Googled Reddit.
No, you really shouldn't. But the electric piano subreddit, if you go there now, it is only electric pianos. And I will gladly answer any of your questions because I'm the only damn person doing it.
Are you in charge of it?
You know, I'd say I am. It's not like anybody else is really going to like... I don't think anybody there is answered. There are a few people. I lied. I do. Since opening my Instagram dedicated to my electric piano business, I have met so many people. You already knew you. But you found me.
Yeah.
And so many people in my field have found me. And I did before I used my personal Instagram, and I followed those people. But when you have like a big business Instagram and some random girl who posts also like personal stuff, like you're not really going to follow them. At least they didn't. But now that I have my own, they're like, oh, you're actually like a tech. And then they're like, yeah. And then they start sharing stuff. And then I have like people who all across the country that I can like, and even world. I mean, I got my boys in Germany shipping me stuff. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so there are actually, I lied, there are some people on there, some technicians that somewhat frequent the electric piano forum, but that's not the hot spot. There is a electric piano like website forum, electric piano something. I don't see it very active. It's like all right. I mean, I feel like modern forums are kind of dying, like the website-based ones.
Yeah.
But the place where you get electric piano stuff is really Facebook.
Facebook.
The Facebook groups, the Wurlitzer groups, the Rhodes Restoration groups. I think the Wurlitzer Restoration has like 19,000 followers, which is a lot. I mean, the electric piano one is like 2.
Okay.
For Reddit.
No, what about for Facebook?
Pardon?
How many does it have on Facebook?
Like 20,000.
Okay.
For Wurlitzers alone. Rhodes are maybe like 10.
I have a theory. What's the average age of people who play these instruments and what era? And what's the average age of people who are on Facebook?
That's a good theory.
Yeah.
And that's,
I love how you didn't even say. You're just like connecting the dots in your... Just a theory. I don't, can't... Just, that correlation kind of feels like causation. The average person's in their 50s and 60s. Those types of people grew up actually playing those?
No, wrong. Okay, actually.
No?
I was thinking about millennials. I was thinking about people over 30.
Okay.
Probably 30 to 50, I would say.
Okay.
I don't see too many old people unless they're like really complaining.
So like Gen Z, old millennials, young Gen Xers.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, that works.
A lot of like mid-30s. A lot of mid-30s. Sprinkled like late 20s.
Interesting.
I know a handful of people under 25. Like a handful.
Oh, I thought you were going to start naming their names. I thought his first name was A, middle name Han.
No.
A handful. Okay, well, so it's not many. Facebook is not a younger person's world, not so much.
No. And you do get a lot of shit for, like, I have a YouTube that I try to educate people on how to repair these things. And I've gotten a fair bit of notoriety, I think, from our small little community, which is really cool. But I do get a fair bit of people that are like, did you try doing this? And I'm like, this is literally my job. Like,
why
I have
do you
done that.
read or pay attention to that stuff?
Because I do most, like 90%, until you post on Facebook. Reddit, or my Instagram is always positive. I'm keeping that shit positive. You guys are not ruining my vibe.
Just ignore all of it.
But I don't even there's nothing to ignore on Instagram. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So far, my community, I haven't branched out into like the mainstream, so nobody's like, what is this crap?
Yeah. Okay, I see.
YouTube has been really positive too. There are a few people that maybe haven't clicked on the profile or the channel and maybe just think I'm just some like amateur dude, which I still am an amateur, but I think I know a lot more than an amateur.
You don't sound like an amateur to me. I would be an amateur going into it.
Okay, yeah.
And you know way more than I know. I just have been around this stuff a lot. So I would be an amateur going. And I'm a little handy, so I would be an amateur. But after years, I mean, how many clients have you had?
For electric pianos, not too many.
Or just for working on any piano?
Like 500 maybe? Something like that.
I don't know any amateurs that have worked with 500 clients for anything.
But electric pianos are very like, you know, at least when people are finding them, 95% of them are not in any way in this field. It's quite rare. I mean, a lot of the acoustic piano technicians, they'll scoff at, you know, I tell them, oh, I'm doing like a Wurlitzer 200 restoration. They're like, why would you? That's like a student piano. It's like one of those crappy 60 ones. And I'm like, well, I have an article in the Piano Technician Guild friggin' journal, so someone cares. But
wait, so they're saying those pianos are like garbage, or?
Well, I mean, if you look at it in a lens, yeah, they kind of are. But they're in a really unique.
But like, you could say that about the Fender Mustang.
That's true.
I will tell you this. I've had one for 12 years. It's probably my most expensive guitar. It's one of the worst guitars I have. It's one of the worst guitars I've ever played. They made it for kids. That's why it's short scale. That's why it's cheap. That's why it's light. That's why it's funky. That's why it's got the worst bridge ever created. You have to put a mastery bridge on it because it sucks. But people love it. It's cool. It's interesting. It's punk. It's grunge.
It's like a Jack White thing.
Yeah, it's obscure. It's odd. It made it through somehow. Not being a great guitar somehow made it through. Thank you, grunge and shoegaze of the 90s who made those expensive for us people who care. Anyway, yeah, so I mean you could say that about so much stuff. It's like that matters to a certain point, but really what matters is what you can do with it and maybe what it lends to technology or to pushing art and creativity.
Yes.
Which is what those types of pieces of equipment did.
Yeah.
Compared to an acoustic piano. Acoustic pianos since the 50s haven't pushed much things as far as advancing stuff. But electric things, well, they are the sound you hear almost on every song nowadays. Pop, indie. If there's not a synth or a pad or something that's
fair.
They're everywhere. It's everything. MIDI. No one has instruments. They have a MIDI keyboard. You know, they just
gotten spoiled.
Yeah, you were like, oh, really? How many do you have personally? Bunch.
Oh, I don't own any MIDI keyboards.
No, just keyboards in general. Pianos.
14.
Okay.
15.
That's a lot.
Not a lot. No.
That's a lot.
In the shop, I think we're at 9 or 10.
Okay.
Personal use, I think it's only 4 or 5.
Okay.
So
right.
Those 9, I'd like to get out the door. But will I in the next 4 years? Probably.
In the next 4 years?
Well, until I recently just dedicated. So every Friday now I'll be in the shop with those electric pianos. Before it was just a free time thing.
Okay.
So the problem is you have to go on Facebook Marketplace. I check it morning and night, like I'm sure you do.
I was just on it earlier, looking for an orange amplifier.
And you go on it, and then it's like, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
And then you know what? I have some savings. You know, I don't need a house right now.
No. Who needs a house? It's so funny. A friend of mine just bought a house. And I'll keep the price and name private, but he told me the price, and I was like, oh, that's why I don't have a house. Like, you just told me the price of like my basement. Like, that's where my house went. It's this place and a lot of other things related to it. This was a house price. This festival cost a house. I would have many homes by this point. I've realized at 34 years old, but I don't care. I've a home is just another physical place. I live in a place for those. I'm not homeless. I just don't own a home. I rent a place.
Got it.
As long as you have a place to stay, you can't undo the life and memories and productivity and career that these things have done for
That's
me.
true.
A home would not have done any of that stuff for me.
That's true.
Would I have maybe a safer retirement? Sure. But with the job that I have, and maybe even jobs that you have, they're kind of the jobs I can do forever. They're not
Yes, that is true.
And like at a certain point, you can hire some young bucks to carry the 150-pound thing. But as far as the brain it takes to fix it, you can do that for a long time.
I mean, I know people around here who are 75, 80. They're like, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
They're like, I'll just, because, and then even if you do, you pick it up every once in a while if you need some money.
How do they handle hearing loss with doing
That is a
it?
great subject.
You got really.
They
For
did
those looking, you could see she got excited. For those listening, I've never seen someone so happy about elderly people having hearing damage.
No, how is that turned?
That's what I'm good at. I'm good at making things turn.
That is seriously, I think that is the thing that scares. Obviously, it scares me the most. And my girlfriend can attest. I have a pair of earplugs anywhere I go.
Sensophonics?
No, like CVS ones.
No. I'm gonna get you on
Okay.
Sensophonic earplugs. I have mine
Is
upstairs.
it
Sensophonics. I think it's actually phonetic. Phonetic.
So like PH?
Sensophonetic. Yeah, PH.
Got it.
It's a company, 660 North Milwaukee in Chicago. It's a hearing. They focus on hearing conservation, hearing wellness, but they mainly focus on making studio in-ear monitors and custom earplugs. I've had mine for 11 years. I'm
Lost them.
Never lost them. They have a little rope. They are custom
Okay.
to your ear. They do a negative mold of your ear. And so they only fit in my ear perfectly. And they have 3 different individual filters you can put into them. A negative 9 decibel, a negative 15, and a negative 25. The negative 15 is, in my opinion, one of the most flat earplugs ever designed. So it doesn't attenuate or add gain in any frequency. So from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, your whole human listening spectrum, the actual slope of what you hear doesn't go up plus or minus 3 decibels across that whole spectrum. So you don't get any, when you're at a concert, in the clarity of the cymbals and acoustic instruments and the vocals, you can hear everything perfectly, just 15 decibels quieter. Same thing with the bass, everything across the whole spectrum. So what's great about it isn't just it makes music way more enjoyable and safer for you. It's the in-betweens that matter, where you never have to take them off in between anything, because you can hold a conversation with your friend in between bands still, because you can still hear language. Most language gets lost with the foam rubbers, or the foam ones.
Right.
The orange and brown and yellow ones that do like negative 40 of attenuation.
Do they?
But
I'm not good with the numbers.
I am. It goes way past where our human speech lies. We really need that 2 to 5K to hear, 2 to 5 kilohertz to hear properly.
Okay.
And it just completely attenuates all that off. So that's why you can't hear anything. You can't talk with your friend. You can't go order a drink from the bartender. With these earplugs, you still can. You don't have to take anything out. If you're working an event, it's great. You can leave them in the whole time. They're also great for any type of construction, any type of yard work, any type of house work.
Anything.
If you were in a closet nailing a nail and a hammer and it's bouncing around this tiny closet and it's very loud, put those in. You could still listen to your music on the stereo. You could still hold a conversation with a person who's helping you. It's safe for doing stuff because you can still hold that line of communication and digest the music. So they should hire me as a...
That was a great ad read.
Thank you. No ad read.
Clip that. Chat.
Sponsor
clip
me,
it.
Sensophonic. I've been an unofficial spokesperson for them since the day I went there. Because I have high levels of exposure through mixing, editing, filming, recording bands, shows, festivals, performing, being in bands, playing, construction and housework. I do everything myself, so I've been around a lot of machinery and tools. I would have so much hearing damage if I did nail guns, sawzalls. I mean, when you ever shoot a nail gun in a small space, it's like shooting a firearm next to your ear. You will have hearing damage. So If you do intense work or you work maybe security at the front line of the metro, maybe you get the -25 ones. They're not as flat as the -15s. Like they have a little bit more attenuation, but it's totally fine. Or the -9s. So I know a lot of live sound engineers that mix all day at a venue. They still want to hear the music, but they need it to be a little bit less because it's just too loud for them. So they get the -9s, which is great for like professional work. But you should get some. You will have them you might have to get 2 pairs in your whole lifetime, just in case your ears just switch and change as far as the canals.
Got it.
As you grow and your head changes. But I would say throughout a whole adult lifetime, if you're fully grown, you could probably make, mine's on 11 years old, I might get 20 years out of it and then another 20 years out of another one. But for $200 and so comfortable, enjoyable, everyone I know that gets them loves them. They can't not go without them. My rant. Back to you. Old people having hearing loss and then still being a person who tunes or works on pianos.
Yeah, they it's pretty contested thing. You know, the older I think, personally, what I've seen online is a lot of the people that are now retiring, they didn't start out with ear protection. Never really seemed to be a problem. They could still tune fine. So they say, you know what, you don't need it. I didn't need it. You don't need it.
That's not true.
I personally don't think that's true. I'd like to. My father has tetanus from
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus?
Yeah, tetanus is the blood.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. They both are really bad for you, but tetanus is way worse than tinnitus. Tetanus, you'll die.
I swear it was pronounced something else, like another way. I thought that's
There's 2 different ways you'll hear it, and one is tinnitus, and one is tinnitus.
Tinnitus. Sorry.
I've heard tinnitus used more often by
I do too.
experts and audiologists.
Oh, okay.
And who are doctors, and doctors will also tell you might have tetanus. So make sure you get your tetanus shot at least every 10 years.
How many rusty strings have gone into my thumb?
Yeah. Oh my God. We would both be dead. Anybody who's a musician would be dead so many times if they did not have tetanus shots. Those folks, a lot of it is hearing wellness, hearing conservation, hearing education, the lack of it. We didn't have much of it until lately. And the only reason why I know this because I studied it and took classes on it and like made a point to understand it. But it's very much overlooked and not taught. And the people who are, maybe 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, definitely was not taught or learned about. Like they didn't know anything about that stuff. Some audiologists and doctors and neurologists did, but the common person didn't because the internet didn't exist.
That's true.
Hearing conservation companies did not exist. OSHA and NIOSH, when they first started getting people to wear earplugs in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, they took forever. I think it wasn't until like the 70s or 80s they finally made it to where like certain jobs you had to do them, but most people still don't. Like walk past any construction job or any construction site, how many people are wearing earplugs? And you'll walk past plug-in ears, you're like, it's loud. And they're like grinding metal and with a jackhammer, no hearing protection.
I think what really rocked my world was the first time my girlfriend and I went to a club. And I must have looked like a weirdo.
Club?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I had it.
There's all
like
kinds of clubs. I don't know.
It was so loud.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I was so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I just plopped them in, and it was party time.
Yeah.
It was a perfect thing, and I still rock. I used to have like musician specific ones where they kind of try to bring it down a little bit flat.
Yeah.
But I lost them, and I just started rocking the CVS ones, not the foam, but they're on a little tether.
Yeah.
And they're rubber or something like that. And for me, with tuning wise, they've never let me down. A lot of my job is doing pitch raises, which are basically a really rough tune. If it's anywhere less than 5 cents out, which, are you familiar with the cent system?
I am. I don't know if they are.
The cent system.
Not money.
Yeah, right. When you tune in really fine increments, usually, at least for piano tuners, we use a system called cents. And 100 cents is one, is it a semitone?
One semitone, a half step?
Yes.
A semitone?
No. Then it's yeah. Sorry, I'm not good at that stuff. When you go to like A to A sharp, right? That's 100 cents.
Yeah, half step.
100 cents sharp. So when the piano I get to it and across the board it's less than 5 cents to where it should be, which when I tune it's A440, which is the standard of tuning that most people use and most piano technicians use. When it's in that threshold, it's just one tuning. You just tune it up where it should, and it'll be fine. But if it's over, let's say 5 cents sharp, you'll have to bring it down roughly where it would be in that 5 cent region. And then when you come back around after 88 keys, it will have moved, usually gone a little farther sharp or flat, depending on where you brought it up from. So most of the time when I get to an older piano, it hasn't been tuned in 20 years, it'll be 20, 30 cents flat. So I'm going to bring it all the way up, usually 10 cents sharp or something like that, so that when it comes back down to rest, it'll be right in that 5 cent kind of region.
So you overshoot a little bit.
Yes.
And does it depend on the material to know like what kind, like how big it is, how old the wood, the metal, how far the pieces are stretching?
It's pretty much the string, it's like physics or something. When the string is used to being slack and you bring it up tight, it's going to want to come back slack a little. Yeah. That's how I explain it.
Yeah, the elasticity of the actual cable.
Yes, and I sound like a snake oil salesman, but when
not to me. I would be like, yeah,
no?
It makes perfect sense.
But when I'm selling an extra tuning in your house, I'm like, I'll need to be back in a month. And they're like, huh?
I remember a lady used to come to my house to tune the piano. I had a piano, an upright with the old metronome, the wooden one.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd always like go play outside when she'd come. My mom would be like, get out of the house. And I never knew what they were doing. I did not understand the concept of it. I know way more now, but it's great to hear the inside scoop.
Yeah.
The fine detail of it. So how do you handle that with equal temperament? Like going across?
Yeah. So I tune, I wanted to finish up with the hearing thing. When I'm doing that fine tuning, which does lead into that next thing, when I'm doing that pitch raise, it's not anything fine. I'm really just roughing it. And how I'm roughing it is with an electronic tuning device, which for me is an app on my phone. Before the phone, they had no tuning fork.
I was just going, wand. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It was a tuning fork. I was doing a wand. No, it was a tuning fork.
Okay, Disney. So... before the phone, there were just these little computers, and it would tell you roughly where A440 was, and from there, it would kind of guess where the temperament was going up and going down. So with my phone, it's a lot easy. It's a $700 app.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
And that's on the cheaper side. Sometimes they're $1,000.
Is it that much better than like just a cheap...
The fork?
No, the app.
Oh, well, those computers are not cheap. Usually $1,500, maybe $2,000
for a tuning.
For like a '90s little tuning box. Wow. So they still marketed them. There are some like app-only companies, but most of the time they switched their hardware and made it into the phone.
Okay.
So if they did it for like $100 there, nobody would buy the. I don't know.
I see.
And anywho, if that's the only option and it's more convenient than a little box. Why not charge $1,000?
Yeah.
Because I'm still going to buy it.
Right. What they used to use before the box.
Before that, well, still now, not most, I would say between electronic tuning devices and oral tuning, AURAL.
I'll see with the ears. Yes.
That would be your tuning fork.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have your A440 tuning fork, and you would get your A4, which on the piano scale... You start all the way at the bottom at A0.
27.5 hertz, which you can't recognize the pitch. It's too low.
Thank you. I wish you were at a house so I can just like put all like the nerdy shit to
I just chime in like you do this. I just pop out a little...
The editor.
Actually, it's...
the live editor. So when I say C and then a number, that's the octave number. So A4 is the fourth octave, right in the middle. And you want that to be at 440 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
Before 440 hertz, it was 432, and then so on. But that's more nerdy stuff that I don't know.
Why did they change it? You don't know? Because I've seen places do 442 tuning. I hope they realize that's not an A. Like, do they realize how this is a physics thing? You can't arbitrarily move that's why like frequency, pitch. cycles per second, hertz. These are all almost interchangeable, synonymous words, but they're not, because once you get the pitch in the music world, it does have a different meaning.
Really?
Well, they say A442, but
Oh, yeah.
so they now assume that physical
Right.
vibration going 442 times per second is an A, when really 440 is the A. Because we have a number to mathematically go to each letter. Like middle C, I think, is like 263.4 or something, And so if you were to do it 265, that's a C with the cents. It's C plus how many cents sharp it is. Yeah, I don't know. Just it's funny. It's funny because the only people who like go on about it and think it's fine are music people. But anybody who's a physicist, anyone who's an audio engineer, anyone who teaches this stuff is like, you guys are being goofy. You're like arbitrarily moving things and calling it what it isn't.
What I do know is that it was mainly a tension issue.
Okay.
With harpsichords and things.
Do you work on those at all?
I have not.
Okay.
I do know a wonderful woman who does, and she has proven to me that they are way different than acoustic pianos.
Way different.
Totally.
Pluck. My buddy's got one. They're interesting.
They're really cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's mostly with the tension is why they slowly upped it. I don't know other than that. So I'm not going to say anything wrong.
I have no problem saying something wrong.
Yeah. That's why you have a podcast.
Yeah. And I know what I'm talking about. And they really do that. They go, oh, we're tuning into this symphony orchestra in Republic. Czechoslovakia is not a country. Czech Republic. The Czech Republic, I'm making this up. They tune it 444. A44. It's like, that's not an A. The 440 is an A. You just, now it's something different. Just call it this. Call it an A kind of sharp. I don't know.
Call it a different tuning.
Yeah. Say an alternate tuning.
It's an open D now.
Yeah.
That's where I can get my head around.
So they used to use actual tuning forks.
Yes. So, and they still, let me be clear, they still do.
Oh, okay.
The people, technically that is the Piano Technician Guild is a nationwide or worldwide, but mostly in America, your only real standard for piano tuners and, credibility. Before the internet, that was kind of, if you had a registered piano tuner from the Piano Technicians Guild, they took a test that was standardized, that was oral tuning.
Say that 10 times fast as somebody does. Oral and oral tuning.
So that they were proven they could do that, which at the time was pretty much the only thing. They can repair it, do all that stuff. That is still, the oral tuning test is primarily what they use in their test to still be a registered piano technician. Yeah. Nowadays, I argue it doesn't really matter if you're a registered piano technician. Granted, I do think it's still a good thing to have. A standard is a good thing to have.
Sure.
And I do think the organization is a great resource. But I think they should update things, which they have. They have included, electronic tuning devices and stuff. Mm-hmm. But even when we talk about tuning forks and how tuning forks versus the app, we're still orally tuning 80% of the time. Because all that app is doing with most piano or with most parts of the key bed, anything from like the second octave up, there's going to be 3 strings to a note. Mm-hmm. And down, it kind of goes to 2 strings, then 1 string. And that's just the bass end. With the app, you're only tuning 1 of those strings per note to the app. And then you're tuning the adjacent strings in unison.
What do the adjacent strings add to the middle string?
Mostly volume.
So the same pitch, just volume.
Right. So I'm pretty sure. I mean, I am sure. But other than that.
When did they start happening? So you're saying the low note, the bass notes.
Oh,
one
yes.
long string.
So it really depends on the size of it, grand, upright, how much money they wanted to put into it.
Yeah.
A good upright piano will have, I would say, 5 to 10 single note or single string or monochord notes, maybe from A0 to maybe, I don't know, A1. Okay. Let's just say an octave. Mm-hmm. From there, it'd be a bichord, which is 2 strings per note. And that would be a solid 20 or so keys.
Okay.
And then once you get out of that bass section, because those bass strings are all copper coiled or wound. Mm-hmm. From there, it's pretty much just trichord or 3 strings per note all the way up to C8. And those are just regular steel core strings.
Okay. So to get them in unison, it's got to be difficult because the different tensions, so many of them. What if one is slightly sharp or flat? It might make things sound weird.
That's the great. Most people don't think about tension, but tension is really,
They don't?
which is also.
That's how the whole thing works. That's the only way it works.
Well, most piano players don't even know what the inside looks like.
Back to what else we talked full circle earlier. I was saying like people now they know how to do the superficial part, the user interface. They even know what UI UX means. They don't understand how things work underneath anything because that's gone now. It's been stripped. Everything is sleek and tight and small. No one knows how these things work. People do. Younger people don't.
Honestly, even back then, most people didn't. It was kind of like only the tuner goes inside. Only blah blah blah.
I have a confession to tell you. I've personally, for fun, and they were really, really, really bad pianos, but I burned 2 pianos before, and it was amazing.
I didn't expect burn. I was gonna expect maybe like tune,
No,
that'd be something.
And I played them while they were burning. And
That's valid.
They were
like
really
that one
junky.
like gif of that dude on the beach.
To be fair, they were just junk pianos found in the garbage.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, and I was like, what do I do with this? They're very heavy. I'm like, no one's going to take it off the street. I can't sell it. No one's going to come get it.
That's what I should do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I burned it. I burned one when I was 20 and then one when I was 32. I had 2. They were both very junky and no one wanted them. And I was like,
So where do you burn and what do you do after?
Oh, I had a big backyard. You saw it once.
Okay.
And I had a metal rim fire pit that was actually cut from the other side of the wheel well of a tractor. It's a big metal tractor wheel well. And I would put a little bit of wood and tinder underneath it, set the piano on top of it so it's raised off the ground like 8 inches for all that airflow. Open it up, pour in a ton of gasoline, pour more on top of it, light a piece of paper on fire, stand far away, throw it on there, and it's gone in 15 minutes. That wood is old and dry. Makes crazy sounds. I recorded once the string snapping.
Oh, right.
Ding, ding, ding. Just crazy cool sounds. Yeah, it's a good sound art piece, to be honest. But I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you have a lot of space. Yeah. Our experience with burning stuff, which I know it sounds ridiculous, but I've burned a lot of things. Yeah. And lastly, it's so bad that it's just going to end up in a landfill. And then you could take the metal frame and make some cool art of it. I've given them out to people who do like metal working stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can reuse it. Yeah, I don't know.
Steel.
That's steel.
It's not what's it, bronze, like some people think it is. They're
It's steel.
Is it gold? I'm like, no, and it's just paint.
Yeah, it's a really, really heavy, strong steel. Kind of the only metal you'd want to use for that because it has to be so robust to handle that tension.
I've seen posts on Facebook when they snap. And it's like a gun.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
Which is string, like a bass string alone is already pretty, it's a solid hunk.
So the frame snaps, the metal frame?
The metal harp, that's what the technical term.
How is it was it not
It can be
forged
sometimes, like when, I'm trying to think. Obviously physical damage, also if the way it's mounted, if the tension is not right, if all the bolts
distributed properly.
Correctly. Correct.
Maybe they just don't have enough carbon in that iron. It's not the right chemical compound for the steel.
Sometimes the strings, like sometimes I swear it's like a batch issue. It'll be a newer piano and I'll have like 3 strings break. And
so just like they need to do a recall. Just they poorly made it.
I don't know. I mean, I will say I've gotten extremely more well versed with not breaking strings. In the beginning, I broke so many strings starting out.
Do you bring extra with you to replace them?
Piano strings are really fun. They're nothing like changing guitar strings, which I thought I had the upper hand.
I didn't know strings could be fun. Guess piano ones are real fun.
When you get the hang of it, it's like wrestling like a little small animal.
Okay.
Not like a bull, but like something that can put up a fight, but you need 2 hands with. It's really kind of, you got to have a whole tool set, it's certain strings. It's very, what's the word? Not the parameters. I'll skip it. But it has to be.
Tedious?
No, I don't know.
It's okay. We'll figure it out. Are you talking about the process of doing it?
Like when you string a guitar, you know, if it's on the post and it goes up to pitch, it's good. With a piano, you know, is it going to hold that for a year? That's what you need to know beforehand. This is going to hold until I come back.
What do you do to make sure it holds for so long?
So first, the piano string that you use, it's a lot thicker than your average guitar string. It slowly goes down all the way from like 0.012 or 12, 0.012, 0.012 of an inch, whatever that would be.
The gauge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All the way up to like the bass.
You need to bring me around with you. I have been filling in so many gaps.
It is, yeah. You've shown my weaknesses. But from there, it'll go slowly bigger until you get into the bass section, which you don't, unless you have a certain type of string, you need to custom make those bass strings by sending them out to get replicated.
Whoa.
Just
like
because,
you have to do it?
No.
Okay.
I would just take it off, package it up, and then
send it out.
Right. But what I do for regular treble string, which is just a steel core string, first you measure it, because each string, those 2 strings per note or 3 strings per note, technically they're all 2 strings is technically 1 string. Hear me out. So there are 3 pegs, right, per note. And when you go and follow this, when you follow the peg, the string down, it's going to terminate at a hitch pin. Then that same string is going to go up and then terminate at that second pin on the same note. So if you break a string, you're breaking 2 strings, technically. So that might just leave you with 1 string sounding for that note or 2 strings sounding for like 2 adjacent notes.
Okay.
Because they can lead into the next note over. So let's say I start at C. I go C, down to the hitch pin, back up, still at C. We're just in the middle pin. Now we go to the last pin of C, and then we go down, and then now we're in C sharp. And that's kind of how it works. So you want to measure out the lengths of both of those, get it roughly out, and then maybe 4 finger lengths past the pin. Cut it there. You put it on the hitch pin, you clamp it down. You roughly bring it to the pin, and then you do 2 starter coils with a coil maker on a dummy pin, which is just a pin that's outside the pin block, which is not in the piano.
Okay.
You just wrap it twice around or 1.5 times. Then you take it out of that pin, you put it on the pin in the piano, and then you make sure the Beckett's in. The Beckett is that little piece that goes in the hole of the tuning peg. You make sure that's nice and tight in, and then you do a little crank around, and then you grab your little hook coil thing, which is under the Beckett, needs to be tight. That's important. So you want to bring it up, and then you want to keep bringing it around until it's right around 3 or so coils or 3 or so turns around the pin, and then you can kind of snip it. No, I'm sorry, you don't snip it.
Does it tuck into a hole?
It's so hard to do it when you're not like doing it.
Does it wrap and tuck in?
So you tuck in when you do that dummy coil where you make the 2 coils already. You're doing that tuck.
Okay.
That's the Beckett.
Yeah.
And then you slide it in there, and then you do the rest of the coils just by tightening the string.
Okay.
So
each note has 1 string, but doing, like if it's in the middle, might have the 1 string that's representing 2 because it wraps around and comes back down.
Yes.
And then the 3 string one's the higher pitch one there, and then up again?
Nope, still 2.
Oh, okay.
The bass strings are just singular because they're wound. That'd be really complex because the bass strings with the copper windings, they all need to be the same length from where they terminate, or else the sounding might be off and you might get some voicing issues.
Okay.
So if you had to do that where you looped it around with 1 whole string, that's a whole lot of games being played. So usually with bass strings, it's just 1 string, 1 termination point, 1 string, 1 termination.
It's kind of like a bass guitar.
Exactly.
Like the bass has got the wrapped one, and then you go to like the G or an E on a guitar, and it's just a thin piece of metal. It's not wrapped anymore. Yeah.
So all that. Yeah, it's not too fun to explain when you can't see it.
I mean, fortunately, I have enough experience to map this and I understand what you're doing and talking about. No, it makes sense. I'm visualizing it. I've tinkered enough to be okay, I get that. Beckett. Never heard of a Beckett.
Beckett.
Bend it like Beckett. Beckham.
The poor listeners. I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, I
fast
don't
forward through that.
No, don't listen.
Then
Keep listening.
Then you go through. No.
There is at least
Go
7
back.
people that are oh my God, this is so cool. This is so informative.
I hope so. I'll get to the good part. The word series are cool. I have a lot of them.
So, piano. When I was younger, it was hard to find someone to do it, and it was kind of expensive. I think it was $100, but this is late '90s, and it wouldn't be long, hour,
Yeah,
about hour and a half maybe.
it's not cheap. I mean, it's not cheap. It's not. I don't think I'm crazy unaffordable.
No, I mean it's the thing is it's not that expensive this is outrageous cost. It's a very esoteric thing. It's you're paying someone for a knowledge you obtain that very few people have.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with the price. I wondered it's gone up a lot since then.
Oh yeah.
Okay. you don't have to say it on air. That's your choice. But I was just wondering because I remember being $100.
If you're in the Chicagoland area, I charge $150 for a tuning and $225. It's been over 3 years.
Oh, over 3 years.
Yes.
So that's a big factor.
That would be your pitch raise area. Most of the time it's under 3 years with the way that our humidity, our AC cycles
It's terrible.
are terrible.
Terrible.
So with that, it's usually more. But most of the pianos I see, it's been 10 years. So 3 covers it.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing I don't like about the field is when people hide their prices.
Mm-hmm.
When I have to email you to find it.
Yeah. Especially when it's
why?
kind of a industry standard.
Yeah.
I mean, I said $100 and that was a while ago, so $150 isn't that crazy.
No. I mean, downtown, you're looking at $175, $200. I was in Seattle, $300.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why?
Seattle's expensive.
Hmm.
But still, I mean, good for them. I mean, hey, if you can do it, do it. I started out at 100, only stayed there for a little bit, and then I went up to 125 and so on.
Yeah.
But I think this is I like to keep it relatively with, the suburbs is a little different.
Sure.
A lot
absolutely.
of different.
Yeah.
Then there's a lot of people downtown. I don't know how the ecosystem down there works, but our 4 people I have in the suburbs, in my suburbs, at least my southwest corner,
Yeah.
we're relatively in the same kind of clique.
Yeah.
It's just kind of whoever gets the people first. Let's be honest. The guys to my right, they're 30 years older than me. The woman above me, lovely lady, she's just about retiring. None of them are picking up really new clients.
Right.
I don't know, but most of the time, people are I have so many people currently, I can't really add.
Yeah.
Unless you want to wait 8 months.
Right.
Which I'm still a month or 2 out booking.
Wow. That's great.
Oh, yeah. But it's honestly, scheduling is most of my job.
Yeah. That's scheduling, and then at least you don't do a lot of promotion on the other side of it. Or do you do a little bit of both? No. Yeah.
I haven't done any ads. I want to do a billboard. There is one that you can see from my backyard off I-55.
I-55
going north.
Okay.
I tried contacting them. I had to call.
Is it the one where the I-55 does a straightaway for a while over right before I-80? And then it does that big curve
It's right
by the
before-
126 exit. Does that big curve right there going up north by, once before you get to Route 30?
Yeah. No, after Route 30.
It's after Route 30.
Route 30, between Route 30 and Weber.
Oh, okay.
So it's that kind of weird thing, and then it's straight, and then it does that, and then there's Weber.
Yes. I got it.
Kind of where that Plainfield entrance is off
Yeah.
126?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Did you say that already?
I did.
Shit.
I know you're better than you. No, I've driven. I know every single detail of I-55 from Lakeshore Drive to Bloomington, Illinois, which is 133 miles. I've done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times.
It's a fun
calculated. I have my mile trip. I'm like, okay, that sign is at 46.5 miles. It's just to pass the time. When you have to do 23,000 miles a year on that road, you start to really have fun with all of the different mile markers, where this is, where that is. Yeah. But, so, billboard, I-55. How much does it cost to do a billboard?
I wish I knew.
Probably
they
like...
won't respond.
Really?
They didn't have any... No, they only had an email. They didn't have a phone number. So I emailed them like, hey, I need this one at this mile marker. I only want this one, and for like, I don't know, a month. Like, I don't even know what they do.
It's probably expensive.
I'm sure on 55, once you get into the city, I'm sure it is.
Yeah. But it would be hilarious.
I just want a photo.
Yeah.
Just me going.
Why don't you just guerrilla warfare that thing and just go up there at night with some friends? You got any friends under 18?
Saul Goodman?
Saul Goodman. Yeah. You're getting, yeah, just get some friends that are, get some little cousin or niece who's under 18. They won't go to jail. It's fine.
That's true.
And be like, hey, I'll give you guys, $500 to go up there and put my big photo.
That's a good chunk of change for someone.
Right.
Especially,
I'm a cool uncle. No.
But no, I've been very, very fortunate to not have to do really any advertising at all.
That's great. Just the internet kind of doing it for you.
I will say, if I get a sponsorship section, Gazelle. If you are a piano technician or anything in the piano world and need an online scheduler, there is a scheduler called Gazelle, like the animal, and they are a piano technician-specific online scheduling service.
Huh.
And I give them all of my money because who else would get that?
Yeah.
I mean, is there like a typewriter online scheduling service? No. But there's one for pianos, and I will gladly give them my money because I would say 70% of my clients schedule without even talking to them. They know through that.
I never even heard of it.
They go on my Google, they see, make an appointment. They click it, type in their address, what kind of piano. I tell them how much this tuning is. Has it been over 3 years? They click yes. Any repairs, any cleanings? Yes. It tells them the price, tells them how long it'll take. Goes to the scheduling screen. They pick a date. Not available, but here's the next one. They pick the time, and then I confirm it, and then that's it. I get all their info.
Easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it works, and they like put all, like, at the end of the year, all the stats are lined up. And I do like Christmas cards or holiday cards. So I kind of get the addresses, get the names, send those out. Just having that info without having like my peers where it's rotary thing. What do you call that?
Lexicon.
Thank you. That, because I mean,
I just have all the answers today.
But that is what some people, you see the old heads complain online. They're like, Gazelle is charging me $150. And I'm like, I can make $150 in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, pay it.
For like a month or?
For a month.
Oh.
And it goes up by how many pianos. So I pay $150, $180 for like 400 pianos.
Oh, wow.
So when I was paying for like 100, it was like $40, $30. And I think it was even free for like the first year I did it because I didn't have 50 pianos.
Right. Yeah. I mean, do you want to use that for $150 or do you want to spend way more money trying to just do it all yourself, promoting, paying for AdSense, paying for this?
Some janky thing.
Yeah.
Or just taking calls, which calls, they're fine.
I don't like when people call to do
fine.
stuff. It's always usually someone a little older to be like, hey, I found your number on the internet. I was wondering, I'm like, there's so many ways you can reach me. And you gotta
and
call
then in
me.
what I loved, I changed my voicemail. So it is my personal voicemail is my business thing. It's like, hey, welcome to MS Piano Repair. I'm probably out of tuning. If you text me, I'll be able to get back to you faster than calling. And most of the time, it works great. But then you get the one, it's like, call me back. And I'm like, if it sounds like I can't text you back, I will call you back.
Yeah.
But if you're under like voice age of 50, you're getting a text.
You're definitely of the era of just strictly texting too. I used to be a big phone caller until it got out of hand. It's just impossible to call that many people.
Oh, yeah?
Like, I still like talking on the phone.
Out of hand.
And then like trying to call and talk on the phone to every single person I need to communicate with. It's much easier to spread it over Instagram, email, and texting or Facebook Messenger. But yeah, the phone call. There's certain clients I had a long time. Like we're friends now, so like we'll do the phone call for that.
Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, when it's just someone fine, because my number is on Google, just like yours, so you'll get. Do you get a lot of crazy phone calls because of that, like telemarketers and just fake stuff?
Oh,
Because your number is available.
I don't answer.
I don't answer anything, but
I don't.
I get.
If it's not a spam, my spam is pretty good.
Okay.
My spam detection thing.
Mine apparently isn't. I get so.
It's good, but I get probably 10 a day.
Yeah, it feels 10, 20, 30. Sometimes I'm like.
And now they're
just
good.
never
They're
ends.
in my area code.
Oh, they gotten better at fooling you. Look at that.
When I was in Seattle, I kept thinking like, oh, maybe that's a client. I'm like, no, I'm in Seattle.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, anyway, no. But I think the one thing with the phone number is what I think people love the most is how communicative I am. That's right. Thank you. I like text 5-10 minutes after you send it. Email in the hour compared to in the few days with some other people. I've heard tons of people that are like, they didn't even respond. So when people realize I do text, I'll get like 10 p.m. Hey, listen, I'm like, I shouldn't respond to that at 10 p.m.
Yeah, how do you balance all the? Do you have cutoff times, cutoff days?
I do days. Hell no.
You're
Christmas
young.
morning, I'll be like, sure, yeah. What day's available?
I used to be like you. I used to really care. No, it gets out of hand after decades plus. You can't. I have strict cutoffs.
I could see it.
7 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'll kind of maybe answer, but really only like 9 a.m. to like 6, like that 9-hour window. I'll probably respond.
Really, I'll go up to like 8 p.m.
I've slowly cut it down over because it's like it depends on the context of the reach out.
That is true.
Is it someone saying like, hey, we're looking to book a session over the next few months? Doesn't sound like much of a hurry, does it? I think the next day will be just fine to respond, or a Friday night email. I'll get back to you Monday. Like,
really?
Oh yeah.
I
wait on most emails for the weekend unless it's super duper important, because I used to not do that. Like I would respond and send out stuff every day, all day, at any time, no matter what, and you just can't. You're living for something else at that point. You're just not existing anymore. It gets weird. You start to go like, when do I like live and when am I working? Or is just living work is work living? I don't know. And you can't differentiate it. And then now you're out with friends. And because it's your normal windows you respond, now you're responding to stuff when everyone's like, hey, you want to hang out? And you're like, oh, my bad. I forgot we're drinking a beer and having pizza at a restaurant. I'm on my phone trying to respond to something.
See, that is me.
Yeah, it's bad. You got to find a balance because people want to be with other people and they'll start resenting you. Partners will definitely get angry.
Well, I mean, I think I'm not that crazy where I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
But like,
you'll have your like addict tricks, like what addicts. You'll like go to the bathroom to respond to people so no one sees.
Okay, I'm not that crazy.
I mean, people will do it. You're like, oh yeah, I gotta go to the restroom. You don't have I just gotta respond to this email real quick. So I don't want to do it at the table.
I guess I'm not that popular. I'm only getting maybe the self-scheduler, I'll get like maybe 2 clients a day, 1 client a day.
Mm-hmm.
But with the text, most of the time, it's usually people I already know. A lot of time, it's cancellations.
Mm-hmm.
And
don't you love that?
that was my biggest problem until now. I have a week before reminder of a day before text. The week before reminder usually gets a lot of people. They go, oh, crap.
Forgot about that, yeah.
So as soon as I get them out of that day, I go, okay, no problem. Then I open that day. And usually within that week, I can kind of get one. Because now the 1 to 2 month buffer works great for that. I'm like, do you want to come tomorrow? But most of the time, it's that or some like seasoned clients, like usually band directors. I'll text. I really avoid. I do keep everything in the email for the receipts.
Absolutely.
Anything day of or where's your address? Like, I'm confused. Something I need that info now. Is text. But the email is mostly, and I do try to keep the email to the computer.
Yeah.
I wish I can get a work phone, like with a work number. But honestly, it hasn't bugged me that much yet.
I'm sure eventually it's cheap nowadays to like you get like a promotional deal, like a free second line.
Yeah. I mean, I have my old like phones, my old iPhones.
Yeah.
I just I have enough now that I have like I'm paying for the shop space for electric piano stuff. I was in a storage unit before.
Nice. You don't have space at home?
I did. I did.
You live with other people?
Thankfully, if you can't tell, I'm an only child.
Ah,
So
classic.
I get the leeway.
Classic. You don't like sharing.
So the home was my shop. Basically, I worked at the home with the electric pianos for probably a year. And I only really got the storage unit so I can buy more shit.
Yeah.
Without them being like, where's this going to go? Because, by the way, that 88 key Rhodes went in the living room right next to the TV. It was terrible. It was terrible. Bless your hearts.
Why
Bless
was it
my
terrible?
mother's heart.
Didn't sound good?
Because my mother, she crafts this beautiful living room with plants and this aesthetic. It's not like, boring farmhouse,
Yeah.
but like cutesy, like lived in. And then you have this giant, like casket-sized black and white piano that's like 70s vibe.
Yeah.
And you can't put anything in it because the rose lid, it's like curved.
Yeah.
So no plants, no
Yeah.
nothing. And they lived with it. I think I sold it like maybe 2 months after, and I bought a Wurlitzer, and that resides in the place next to it because it's pretty, it's cute, it's flat topped, it's got Halloween decorations on it right now,
Halloween
and
decorations?
it's perfect.
Already? It's not till tomorrow.
Yeah. So anywho,
Wait, do you have land? Do you have yard?
Yeah,
Because it's a Plainfield. Why not have a shed in the back?
we have toyed with it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'll tell you the shop situation.
The tornadoes, that's why.
We
Plainfield joke.
don't have a basement. We're
How do
really
you not
we're
have a
clinging-
basement in Plainfield? Do you know how many tornadoes go through there?
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
My girlfriend really was the one that was like, you guys like, because she lives Midway area. Mm-hmm. She's like, I've never seen a tornado. Which I guess
Until recently.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like talking about like the green skies and stuff, and she's like, I've never seen that. You guys get that?
Oh my God.
I'm like, yeah.
So it happens when you live on brick and steel and concrete. You don't get the same kind of weather.
What was so weird is that it was like October or it was August, and we were outside working on a motorcycle at her house. And then the sirens went off. It wasn't raining. And I'm like, well, let's go now. And she's like, why? And I'm like, you don't go inside? She's a basement.
Yeah.
And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I never did. And it's not going to come here.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. See, I lived in a hybrid spot in Hickory Hills. We would get the residuals from Joliet, Plainfield, Orland Park, Homer Glen, like the tornadoes
And
that
it's
would come through.
pretty open.
Yeah, it's open because it's all kind of really open, loose, because of the forest preserves over by Archer and whatnot. It does have a continuum past Lamont to kind of more like farmland. You do get kind of, it ends, but there's other suburbs that wrap around it, but you do get an open area where a tornado can have open grass and dirt, and the chemistry cocktail it takes to exist. Whereas concrete, steel, and like brick don't really lend themselves to nature doing those types of things. That's why we have like weird heat islands here. Like when you're here, where I used to live 15 miles southwest of here, the weather was unbelievably different from here.
Really?
It's just like the same location, but it's not, because I'm closer to the lake, so it's a whole other effect. And then it's all steel and concrete everywhere. Like 99% of what's around me in every direction for 10 miles is just steel, concrete, brick, plastic. Like that's it. Nothing really organic, or it's a bunch of organic compounds made something new. But it's not dirt and grass and trees to create that type of, chemistry compound to create a tornado or anything like that. So we get weird weather, very hot, doesn't really snow a lot, doesn't stick when it snows because the ground is so hot.
Oh.
It's a heat island, so the ground is so warm, it doesn't stick much when it does snow. Yeah, it's just different, and it's not that far. And when I drive down to Bloomington, which is a completely different atmosphere, it's trippy. The amount of weather I have to prepare for, the snow, driving past your house down to Bloomington, the weather, the snow, the rain. If it's going to snow here, it's so scary going down there because of how bad it gets.
Oh, okay.
Only sometimes, because it's usually warmer down there. So usually if it snows up here, I'm like, oh, I'm safe. I go down there, the snow melts by the time I get there. And then I come back and the snow's bad. But if there's like a storm coming, it's way worse down there because it's all open fields.
Yeah.
So, yeah, many cars on the side of the road when I'm coming home from work, driving through snow. It's terrible on the highway with not a big car,
Okay.
Yeah, it sucks. A little four-door sedan. But great gas mileage when you're going that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's crazy. It's weird to go between these different climates for just work. It's like one day, constantly, like back and forth. Like the same day, like leave, it's freezing, snowing there. It's 30 degrees warmer. Come back up, and now it's a completely different thing here. But then it changes. It's so strange. It messes with your head.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know what weather is today.
Right.
Yeah, but so you thought about doing like a shed or an area to like just to keep it there and save money?
It was mostly the garage. That was
okay.
And then the storage unit was under my bed. That would be whatever I could fit. Vox Jaguar under there.
Yeah.
Wurlitzer under there. But once I got the storage unit, it was a little 10 by 10 foot. It was temperature controlled, but just kind of like humidity. Like the temperature changed. Maybe, I don't know, climate control, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cold in winter. It was warm in summer.
Was it inside?
It was inside.
I wonder why that is. Like, must have been, guess, not as nice as other. I don't know. That's odd that they would be inside and claim that, and it wasn't.
But
you do space heater. Maybe
no, I did. I did jacket and gloves.
Oh, the old classic space heater. Yourself is the space heater.
But it was relatively good. I mean, I had a little Ryobi light, work light I'd plug in and just ran on those Ryobi batteries, the vacuum, the whatever. But I really ran into issues when I needed real power. Like soldering irons needed to be powered, heat guns.
Yeah.
And those were not up for the batteries. I even tried a little generator. They were really chill. I was totally upfront with my intentions when I got there, so they were really lenient with everything I did there.
They didn't have outlets inside of it?
No, because that would be they don't allow you to work out of it. So I was under the radar, at least to management.
They have light bulbs?
Not in the unit, so it was in the hallway.
So there's no power in the unit at all?
Correct.
How's the door open? Manual?
Yeah.
Damn it.
I know.
I know ways.
But no, but
think.
that was what really got me out of there. And it was tough. I never really thought I'd have a shop space because everything's like over $500 a month.
Where's the shop at?
It is in, why am I blanking?
America?
Yes. It's in.
Is it in where you live?
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes south. It's north of Joliet. It's
Plainfield?
I was in
Romeoville?
I was in Seattle for a month. I came back yesterday.
That sounds like a fun month.
So how rusty I was.
So you're out of it.
Yes.
You're kind of a little jet lagged.
Totally. This is the first time I took the train.
You're tired. You took the train here?
There. And then we drove.
Okay. You drove back here.
Yes.
4 days? 3 days? 2
8.
days? 8? Oh, you took your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your car goes 7 miles. Are you Flintstones here? Jesus.
8
days.
It's God, I'm going crazy.
What is what? Oh, where's
Crest Hill.
Crest Hill, where the prison is. Duh.
It was in Crest Hill, $300 a month with utilities. 14 by 14 foot room with a closet.
That's better than the prison cells.
Yes.
Yeah.
With electricity, with like air conditioning, really cold air conditioning, which
That's
honestly
not
I'll
bad
take
at all.
over heat.
Yeah.
But it's consistent. And I bought an extra closet on the hallway across for like $30 extra. It's like 10 by 10 feet.
Yeah.
And so I'm paying like $350 for all of that a month. And I already have insurance for it through my liability stuff, so it's fine. And it's perfect. It's hardwood floors. It all moves. It all wheels.
That's really affordable.
My dad and I built a standing workbench.
Mm-hmm.
And it's perfect. And it's amazing. And I love it.
And
there's a window.
I would love to check that out.
There's no window
there's
in
no
the storage
window.
unit.
Oh, this one has a window.
Yes.
Okay.
It has beautiful lighting. Pretty. It has like the built-in ceiling ones. I don't know what you call that.
Can lights?
Yes, but they're diffused really pleasantly.
Good.
So that's a real plus.
And it has a window, which is
always
a plus.
And I got like I can do anything to the walls. So I did a big decal on it with my logo. And
cool.
I have a dedicated YouTube corner.
Whoa.
Which is really cool.
For like just showing the gear and stuff?
Yeah, because like I said, I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers. So
We're going to make it 2,000 after this?
I hope. But it's Analog Emma. That's my YouTube. And I mainly display all of my weird keyboards and how to repair them. I also do a lot of covers and stuff.
Any blankets? Sorry, I had to. No, that was the silence after I said that. You were like, wait a minute. What did he just say? Oh, no. Did he just do that? That's really cool. I've seen some of those videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Your little corner. It's making sense now.
Yeah. So it's real cute. And I don't have to, which awesome, I don't have to haul the pianos home. Because some of them, when they have the speakers on the bottom, the consoles, they're not easy to move. Especially when it's just like me.
Yeah.
So it's real nice. And
has it made you like think more like stronger? Like, did you like, I gotta work out so I can move these things? Does that, no?
Well, the problem is post hernia surgery, I had more hernia pain than before.
Yeah.
So until recently, it's actually gotten better. Or recently it did, but still I'm in no shape to, because even like a strong person, you just shouldn't.
No, you should at least double it up.
In those awkward.
Yes, absolutely. You should at least double it up. I have moved everything ever, I think, at this point. And yeah, I'd popped my back 3 times, but it was at UPS when I worked there.
Ooh.
And yeah, I was lifting up 149-pound drill bits. Yeah. Anything over 150 has to go through UPS freight. So they love to give you a bunch of 149-pound things just to stick it to you because you legally still have to move it. Yeah, I popped my back. It still is kind of, it doesn't hurt anymore, but it always feels a little bit more sore in that spot than anywhere else after like a long day.
Man.
That was 9 years ago.
My mother has she had a really bad incident with her back. She'd kill me if she saw me lifting any of that stuff.
It's the biggest thing, like biggest mistake you'll ever make is not lifting properly. Like do everything properly, be very careful. Because once you heard that, it could all be downhill.
Which I have found if you ever, I don't know, you really wouldn't, but a motorcycle jack. I only repaired one motorcycle in my life, and probably my only one. But in that, I bought a motorcycle jack, and it's this cute little square you wheel around, and you just pump it up with your foot. And what I did is I bought one for the keyboards. You have the legs on, you pump it up, lift it up a bit, take the legs off, then you could slide it right into the car, into the trunk. Yeah. And then to put the legs back on, you do the same thing.
Kind of a little bit more advanced than the classic just dolly, like flat wooden with the 4 casters.
Correct.
You kind of just, you just have the carpet, the little carpet on the wood, and you kind of put it on there like those.
Yeah, a lot more advanced. It was probably like $200.
Yeah.
Not too bad, but it saved that. And there's a Grand Actions in acoustic pianos are these long, heavy things that slide out horizontally from the piano. And because of that, they're 5 feet long, like this table. You're lifting down, you're bending down, you're pulling up, and it's probably like 80 pounds.
Yeah.
But for $600, you can get this fancy claspable wooden kind of tray that it slides onto, and you wheel it out.
That's great.
And that is just a lifesaver.
So there's some fun tricks for these heavy items.
I will probably, when we end up buying some sort of house, there is this $1,000 mechanical dolly. It was just like a regular dolly. You'd lean it back, but when you lean it back on stairs, it climbs them.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
That will be, because odds are if we move somewhere, it'll probably be a basement where I need to do this stuff. Because I would like to have a home, being able to work from home in your basement.
It's pretty great sometimes. There's a caveat. Everyone knows where you live.
That is also what scares me with the tuning, because my address for my tuning business is right there.
Yeah.
Now the electric piano stuff is, which I've since, now I'm public about my business name with electric pianos because that is linked down there. Granted, they could take 5 minutes and find out where the other electric piano or where the other Emma's piano repair is. But it gives me a little bit of peace of mind. So it's not like, oh, it's right there.
Yeah.
That's where it's on the bomb.
Yeah. Does it make you uneasy having all that information public?
Oh, yeah. There have been clients, only like 1 or 2, where they were a little weird feeling.
You call it creepy.
Yeah.
A little creepy.
Where I'd be like, if they had my address, I would feel a little uneasy.
Sure. That is biggest thing I have noticed between men and women when it comes to making stuff really public.
Yeah.
Most guys don't care too much. I don't care. I'm aware of it. I've dealt with all the ramifications of it. You believe you me. But I'm not so scared. I'm just like, I'm not, I look different. I come off as different. I'm less, they're maybe a little more threatened by me than I am of them. I'm for real. So it's like, yeah, I don't think about that stuff. If someone like wanted to come here and like try to rob me or something, I don't know. They wouldn't.
I didn't think about
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I also...
Or just mess with me.
I drive
like,
a
whatever.
pink car.
You drive a what?
A pink car.
Oh, jeez. See, I keep pink to my water bottle. That's as far as I'll go with my eggshell pink.
I did a rebrand. You'll see it when you come out.
Pink car. So you just want to stick out.
I got my first post high school car. I ditched the 2005 Pontiac Vibe. And I got a Subaru.
Ooh.
A Crosstrek.
Nice.
It's just a Pontiac Vibe, but new. Same size, because I love parallel parking. So I want that nice little compact size.
You just do it for fun all day?
Honestly.
Like as a
when
hobby?
We had a rental car. We were all the way up by the Canadian border like last week.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to do a 3-point turn off this cliff. So we were
the goal was to go off the cliff?
We were about 7,000 feet up with this mountain. We were going to this fire lookout place. But we had to make a U-turn. We had to go around, back down the mountain because we were done. I think it was a 20-point turn.
Austin Powers style?
Yes. And it was just cliff and then rocks.
Oh, God.
And so what we had to do, though, is I had to back up probably half a mile down through the curve. And my mother, she can't back up for crap.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching her. So, my dad must have been so proud if he could see me just going down the mountain.
Just backwards?
Just going backwards.
Yeah.
I don't need the camera. Turn the camera off.
It'll knock you off the mountain. You'll misgauge it.
But no, I do. Parallel parking is fun. I like playing, especially when we're up in Wrigleyville and that one strip next to the
Clark Street?
Yeah.
Clark,
where
Addison.
There's no parking
Yeah.
and finding the smallest spot,
Mm-hmm.
wiggling my ass in.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
I do love finding a good spot and just fitting right in. Just 2 inches from each bumper, It's fun.
Especially when the passenger's you can't make it.
Yeah. When people say you can't
bullshit.
make it. Honestly, with modern cameras and the technology and the sensors and the beeping and all that, with many years of driving experience, if you can't park the car, what is wrong? People have been doing it forever without the cameras and the sensors, and now you have it. Now they have these crazy 360 ones. You can see all around you. Oh yeah, from above, a satellite view, but right above, so you can see everything around you. Huh. How do you still hit stuff? I don't get it. But my only advice for that is just be careful with the people being weird online or reaching out to you. Or it's just different. It's not fair. It's not right, but it's definitely different because I don't. Any of those weird interactions or threats, they just fall right in front. Because it's what are you gonna do? You can't do the traditional things you want to do to me that you do to other people. So it doesn't work. Those threats are not so scary when it's me. But people have done weird stuff. Yeah, it's been a weird one. There's weird video. People have made weird videos about me and my place. Oh yeah, it's a weird place. Oh yeah, it's creepy.
Huh?
Yeah.
Exposed. Canceled.
Yeah, no, they're just weird people that are odd and might have nothing better to do in their home making weird
That's
videos.
awesome.
It's weird. It's odd.
Sorry. But it's really cool they're thinking about you that much.
That's what I'm don't you have anything better to do? I don't even think about anybody.
It is
that
crazy
much.
how invested someone online can get.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram, I'm really bad at starting shit on Instagram comments.
Don't
and then
do
just
it.
leaving.
Why?
And then they'll be like, oh, so this is your YouTube? I'm yeah. I mean, it's linked. Okay. I'm okay, thanks.
So you do it as Emma Piano? You just burn people?
No. My personal thing is private, but the bio with the link to the business is not.
I see.
So, which I'm not the greatest. Well, I'm a great driver, but I'm not the most respectful driver.
Okay.
And I do have my website blasted on my ass, and then
my God.
my logo's on the side. But I have yet to get like a 1-star review, like, "Fuck you for passing me," whatever.
You are brave. I would never do that. I'm insane on the road. Only when I'm out in the middle of nowhere, like going to ISU.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with the semi-trucks. Oh, my God. Don't even get me started on commerce. But, yeah, that's bold to, like, be a
I was civil
aggressive,
for the first week.
intense. What kind of driving would you express? Like, how many speeding tickets have you got? How many moving violations?
0.
You're not that crazy, though.
2 warnings. Thank you.
Of course,
In
she
high school.
got warnings. Notice how I used "she got warnings."
Oh yeah.
Us men don't get that many warnings from police.
Coincidentally,
Let's be honest.
they both were outside, coming back from the high school at like 8 p.m. from like choir class, doing like 65 and like a 30. Well, because
they gave you warnings for that? That's double the speed limit.
I was like,
cuff them, put them in the clink.
I was like, I'm sorry, officer. Like, I've been here since like 6 a.m. And then he's like, okay, 1 second. He's like, you don't have anything else. Just, be careful. And I'm like, yes.
Classic.
But like Plainfield Road's like, Plainfield Road's the deer. That's what you're going to hit on the Plainfield Road. There's
Which
nothing...
at 65 could be catastrophic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's the way it works. It's the way the low level crime situations work.
But
with
I
that.
don't speed that much now.
Yeah.
Mother, father.
She just hasn't been caught yet. That's what I say when people are like, "Oh, I've never got a ticket." I'm like, "You just haven't been caught."
Yeah,
Everyone
true.
breaks
That's
the
true.
law when they're
That's
in the
true.
car. Everyone. You just weren't caught. It's really hard to get caught. Statistically, you're not going to get caught. I never get caught. I've gotten caught a lot. I think I don't even know, like actually stopped by a cop and given a ticket, at least 17 speeding tickets.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. And then just from the cameras around the globe, I don't know, too many more. Another 10, 15 more.
Oh, yeah, the camera.
They're not as scary.
Okay, actually,
it's not
I
as
lied.
strict of a fine.
The red light tickets, I've gotten like 2.
Yeah, they don't. You don't have to go to safety traffic school for it. It's smaller fine. It's just different. When you get a physical moving violation from a police officer, you have to go to safety traffic. You don't have to, but you should to get it off your record. I've been to so many of those.
Oh, you can get it off your record.
Yeah, if it's under a certain amount, every state's different. I think in Illinois, I believe it's under 25, 30. Anything under that, you can go to school. There's different tiers. I know way too much about this. There's so many tiers. Like, for instance, yesterday, every tier is a different ticket price bracket. So if you're going to speed, pick one, but always go under the next one so you don't get... Like, in Indiana, it's illegal to go 20 miles an hour over. It becomes reckless driving. So if you're going to speed there, make sure you're going 17 or 18 or 19 over.
Right.
Keep it just under that 20 so you can still go fast.
Yeah.
You just won't get cuffed and put in a car and get charged with reckless driving. Illinois is different. Illinois, I think, is at 30. So, and then there's every like 5 or 10 miles an hour, this price goes up in the severity. So I usually put mine at 14 miles an hour because it starts at 15. There's a new bracket.
I thought 15 was usually where you start getting a little...
Yeah, it starts at 10. Most cops won't give you over 10. But there's different tiers of cost and bracket depending on which state, county. But yeah, if you're going to go on a long road trip, find out what state has what, and then just put your speedometer, not your speedometer, your cruise control, like 1 mile per hour underneath the second worst fine bracket. So you can.
So the 85 we were going in North Dakota.
What was the speed limit there in North Dakota? 70?
Actually, it wasn't that bad. It was like 70. I think Montana, it's 80.
Yeah, they have an 80. And in Texas, I think you have an 80. So if it's 70, and say their state says like 10 to 15 is one price for a speeding ticket, 15 to 20 is another one. If you think that going 9 over is not fast enough, then just go 14. So you'll get a ticket, but it'll be the lowest one of all. It won't be that big of a deal. It's ridiculous to know these things and to actually do them, but it's fun because it's really fun when you're like, okay, I'm going to mess with the law. They might put me on and give me a ticket, but they really won't be able to give me any harsh punishment. So it's like right before that. And I know that, and I don't know if they realize that I know that.
It was so dangerous.
I know. It's fun. It's the adult way of sticking it to the man, you know? I don't even know why I'm talking
Not owning a keyboard business? That's sticking it to someone. Casio. No, actually, I have relations with Casio, and I...
what do you mean, you have relations?
One of my clients works with them.
Oh.
Like a manager.
That's cool. I thought you meant like created Casios. I'm like, whoa. How old are they?
Casio.
Dr. Casio. Casios I had a Casio. think.
Casio.
My theme music for my old podcast that I started 12 years ago, Friends of Music, this was the Casio.
Wow.
I got this at a thrift store. I wonder if it still works. I'm going to do the theme song real quick that I would improvise. Ooh, battery's dead.
Oh.
Oh, no, it's not. Okay, let's see if I get it right. I think it was Bossa Nova. Yep. And I hit C after 2 times. So I did this every episode, like, and I would always just move it around and make different songs. And this is how the podcast was run. I would just manually just drop it down like this, and then just start talking over like that. I haven't done that in, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years.
Wow.
So thanks for bringing that out of me. Kind of made me nostalgic. Huh. Yeah, and then I have a chord going over there. But I've never really had a lot of keyboards. I really want to get a nice. I'll ask you, what do you recommend I get for like the ultimate electric keyboard, but also has like MIDI, but also has like a lot of beautiful like analog digital textures and sounds. Right. Something like a Nord, like a nice Nord or something, where you can kind of just do everything with it.
I'm not okay. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Hear you out.
I tried a Nord for the first time. It was at like a Guitar Center somewhere. Because I see the red thing everywhere. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it didn't feel that great.
No, I think it's
to me.
Marketing,
I was playing
overpriced.
some really giant, ugly like Yamaha digital. It felt better.
Okay. So you're saying just like playability, like how the hammers,
yes,
how the keys feel.
The keys feel.
Hammers. There's no hammers on that.
If you really, if you want something that's not, it's only MIDI. There is a beautiful, beautiful piano coming out in Pennsylvania by this company called Vidal. And they're making this amazing MIDI-only keyboard. They were piano refurbishers before. Now they're focusing just on this. And it's a full key stem, full grand key stem with full weights and everything like that on this big wooden kind of platform where you can put a laptop, put whatever. I haven't played it yet. They've invited me to come test it. I just haven't really been out to Pennsylvania ever. Maybe one day.
It's a lot closer than Seattle.
It is. But it looks amazing. It sounds like any MIDI keyboard. Mm-hmm. But that is definitely, if I ever were to buy a MIDI keyboard, it'd be that.
Okay.
They did have 61, 73 key versions, but I think now they're sticking with the 88.
Okay. I was trying to find something that was like a hybrid, like I could play it in stereo, a nice keyboard, or do MIDI with it. Not just because I want to work a lot more with like making sounds and scores.
There
and
is
stuff.
I don't normally. Vintage Vibe has a good. I'm not affiliated with any of these people, by the way. I do. I get a lot. No, I mean, if Vintage Vibe supplied me with parts and stuff, that would save a lot of money. I'm not going to lie. That'd be amazing. Okay. But I do use a lot of Vintage Vibe parts, and they do make what I believe is a really a great step forward in terms of electro-mechanical keyboards. They have taken the Rhodes platform and really pushed it forward quite a bit and changed a lot of those hiccups that made it really unplayable without being modified in the original form.
Oh, okay.
That, however, can be MIDI, but the actual Rhodes Mark 8, which is made now by the Rhodes team, the new who they bought the name and they're working out in England, they added, I believe it'd be synth features. What those are, I'm not good at, but there is a modular panel or a panel that you can add for an extra like $1,000.
Oh, so you do modular synthesizing with it?
So it goes straight from the pickups to there, and you can change like the LFO, VFO, I don't know what those are. And there is MIDI. And that honestly...
Voltage, frequency oscillator, low frequency oscillator, LFO.
Okay. So you can get that, and that's probably your best bang for your buck. Probably looking at $10K though.
$10. That's awesome.
I know
will get it.
The Vintage Vibe goes for $7,000 or $8,000.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, $2,000-$3,000.
But
range.
What you can do, there are kits. Don't do the kit yourself. It's not that kind of kit. But there is a kit where you can have someone install a MIDI system underneath the keys, and it is, I believe it's, some of them are visually sensitive. Others are like pressure. I don't remember which one they are. But it'll run you, the kit itself is probably $1,000. I think it's just under $1,000.
Okay.
I know to install, most people charge another like $500 to $600.
Okay.
But it goes underneath the keys, and then you have your output plug. And places like Vintage Vibe even have a little cheek block replacement where you can have the MIDI plug right in there, so it doesn't look like a janky cable running out.
Oh, okay.
But I believe nobody really does it for Rhodes or for Wurlitzers. I've only ever seen the kits done on Rhodes. And I also think that might be the kit issue. I think they may only make it for 88 key sets.
Okay.
And I don't think that's a circuit board you can kind of just crack.
Yeah.
So, a really crappy Rhodes, get it for $1,500, put that on it. Usually the Rhodes I work on needed probably $500 to $1,000 worth of work. And you have a really solid platform that can make sound on its own and also push it out.
That's wild. That'd be a really cool, like, meshing of both worlds.
Yeah.
Of old and new.
Though, honestly, I don't much like the feel of the Rhodes. I feel it's a little spongy. But
what's your favorite? What is your favorite out of any piano, keyboard, just any of that with keys that you play? Which one is your favorite or preference?
I would say my Wurlitzer 140. A.
It's Canadian.
Yeah, it's the earlier, the predecessor to the 200s, the plastic ones you see everywhere. It's about 30 pounds heavier, made of wood. Some of them are uglier than others.
Yeah.
Mine's kind of cute.
Yeah.
It's 61 keys. But it has, personally, the 200s, which have the plastic top, the speakers are facing you. And in my opinion, it's very harsh on the ears when the speakers are right there. And those 200s, they tend to have a brighter sound, mostly because of the amp, also because of other issues, or not issues, tweaks they made. But the 140 series still had older germanium parts and stuff in the amp, and it has just so much more of a rounded out sound. The speaker is also slightly larger. It's like, I can't tell you, 8 by 4 inches maybe, but it's in the back, so it kind of distances it a bit, and it gives it a nice kind of feel. You do get the nice Wurlitzer vibrato built in.
What year is this one from?
I think mine's 64.
Ooh, old. 60 years old.
Maybe 61. It's somewhere around there.
You ever play any like more like late, like early 80s synth, like the Juno or anything like that?
No.
What are your
I hate synthesizers. I bought
that pause in your face. You were, I could tell you were like
people
disturbed.
Ask me. People
you were like
ask me all
really
the time.
disturbed.
They're like, "Oh, like synthesizers," and I'm like, "No."
To be fair, all I said was,
no.
"Hey, do you ever play those?"
But I think it's really funny. The reason I gave you that face is I just picked up a keyboard from the 70s, and they called it the Juno. I brought it to Deltronics in Woodridge.
Yeah, I used to go there all the time.
Plenty of time.
I'll give you some. I'll give you some information after the podcast.
Okay.
Of different places to go to. That might be cheaper.
I mean, are you familiar with Colleen Fazio? She's an amp tech.
Yeah.
Did
She
the YouTube
was
stuff.
in bands. She was in a Chicago band.
I
She
couldn't
worked at
tell you.
Deltronics.
Yes.
Because I think this is a long
She grew
time
up in
ago.
Plainfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know her. I know of her because I used to go to that Deltronics a lot.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And I gave them way too much of my money. Holy cow, there were bench fees, like $150. Oh, you just need a power unit, it's $75. Like, oh, thank you for $225. You could have just a power unit. That's a pretty easy diagnostics to figure out.
I have got my money's worth from them. The 2 times I've been there, I've only been there twice.
Oh, I went there way too many times.
But I think they should have charged me more.
Oh.
And you know what? You guys, for what you did, the owner, I forget his name, Mike DeValley.
He had a mustache, big old mustache.
I never actually seen it, dude.
Oh.
Only on the phone.
I haven't been there in a while.
All I hear, he always complains, he's like, I got to do this myself. because the only 2 keyboards I gotten, one was a Weltmeister Claviset. It was an Eastern Germany plinker keyboard with like reeds, really weird, early 60s, no schematic, no nothing, janky, all the, the components and stuff, they were all in like, what's the Russian typography? Crip.
Like their language?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah? Got you there. Not cerulean, what?
No, cerulean's a color.
Yeah.
It's like a blue. Yeah.
Yeah, but you get it. They were not in the normal, and they were
Sanskrit.
from the 60s. Yeah. So he did it, and he fixed it, and then he yelled at me for trying to fix it. He said,
do you know these people?
Mike?
Well, yeah.
Or who? Deltronics? That was the first time.
Okay.
Well, he said whoever tried fixing this sucked. And I went, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. I thought you meant like you knew him and like reprimanded you, like don't fix these things.
But I ended up. Let me find it. I bought from a guy in Lithuania.
Classic as
off reverb, but off reverb. Don't tell reverb. Are you with reverb?
Wait, what? Am I with them?
Does reverb watch this?
I don't care who watches this. No one's paying me anything.
I do,
until someone pays me.
We did.
Whatever
I
happens,
found him on
happens.
reverb. I didn't pay him on reverb.
Nice. Stick it to the man.
You know
They
what?
charge a fee.
Yeah, that $500 that comes out of my sale fee.
Yeah. I say screw it.
So there's you've seen my like that, the Weltmeister Bassett 2. My thing right now is getting keyboards that people just don't know over here. That was the only photo I've seen of
That's
it.
trippy.
That wasn't.
Never seen anything like that.
And I'll show you it. There are just no photos of this thing online.
So someone shipped it from Lithuania to you?
That one was from Belgium.
That's just so much closer.
Yeah. But this one, it was a combo organ.
Oh, what the heck?
That I have yet to. That's my big. If I fix that and get a video out on YouTube before I die, that's like what I did in my life.
So the
You're good.
The electronic keyboards. We never talked about how you work on those and how they function. We
we can get into it. I just want to show you the.
I was looking at it. Does it work like it's got the metal when it touches, it sends the signal to complete the circuit? How does that work?
None of that electronic bullshit. There is a reed, and there's a little plastic plucker. And when you push the key down, that plucker comes up, plucks the reed vibrates, and there is a little metal magnet pole that amplifies that frequency, and then puts it to the output.
So is it like a transducer is connected to that reed as it vibrates to take that vibrating reed signal and transduce it to a voltage?
No, it'd be like a guitar amp or like a guitar, like a guitar pickup.
Oh, so is it a reed that is just going over a pickup?
Yes. So there's a giant pickup
Is it metal?
bar. Yes.
Okay.
And it just vibrates really close to that pickup.
Got it.
And then, so they can be a little noisy. But let me show you. Where are you?
By the way, that's electronic, and she said none of that electronic bullcrap, but she just
talked
about electricity.
Right.
That's electromagnetism at its finest.
This is it. I bought this from Lithuania. It looked interesting. It's called a Junost or a Junost.
It's really pretty.
It's a 64, 61 key combo organ. I think it's 3/4 scale keys. I did not realize that in the photo. It's really weird to play.
It's so tiny.
And it came completely broken.
Oh.
I opened up the inside, and there was a circuit board for each note.
Oh my God.
And each one of those circuit boards were mounted by 2 screws on the chassis. And the board just completely popped from each of those screws.
Yeah.
And those screws grounded it. So it wasn't just leave it.
Well, of course you can't, yeah. The screws almost always
thankfully, I
grounded.
didn't turn it on.
Yeah, you might have got hurt touching some things.
I would have spent a lot more money. I'll say that.
You might have fried something. I probably would have short-circuited everything and fried
it. It was terrible because it was even, all of them were like hard soldered together. So they all moved like one big clump.
Yeah, what a nightmare. What year is this from?
I could not tell you.
Early
Maybe
60s?
68. Definitely late.
It's cool. It's a cool looking color.
Yeah.
Do you ground? Do you install a ground prong on each? Because a lot of those are not grounded. Things from like the 70s and before.
That one.
I didn't see a third prong on the power cable.
No, yes, that one was not. Some of them can be, but that one I brought to Deltronics and I was expecting 1,000 plus. Like in that with, I was like, I'm screwed. Didn't do it through reverb. He got insurance, but didn't do it through reverb. So he came back and he's like, yeah, like he'll be like 400.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Do it.
What is it worth when it's all fixed and good and working?
Probably way less than I paid for it. I think I paid 1,000
plus 400.
Yeah,
1,400.
Yeah. So I was fine with that. FedEx they denied the claim. They said it wasn't packed right. Whatever.
Classic.
So still waiting for that dude. That dude pretty much ghosted me. He didn't. He said, "Oh, I was on vacation," but only when I said I'll contact Reverb. Coincidence.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I haven't touched it yet since I got home. I'm excited to do.
Oh, so it's very recent.
Yes. They fixed it when I was in Seattle. But that's something. It's a really nice resource to have because I'm not too great. I can do.
What is a nice resource?
The Deltronics.
Oh,
just like a really reputable.
To be fair, they are a great place. I forgot to add the little story that a friend of mine works at a place, so he gives me a big discount. AKA, I don't pay bench fees, so I forgot. I'm like, why is it so cheap? Oh, wait, I get hooked up. I'm like, it's so much cheaper now. Yeah, no, it was also just far away from where I'm at now. There's one in the city. True. There's a Deltronics in Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
Never been to it.
I don't know.
I wonder, it's got to be the same company. They have the same names and do the same job.
Yeah. They're on the website, they're together.
Both. Yeah.
I just think it's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I got tired of going there, and I also was naive and didn't realize that I kept buying vintage amplifiers. And for those listening, vintage amplifiers are cool until you have to replace everything on them because they're old and they get used and they get rusty and tubes go bad and power amps go bad and speaker cones get this and things get dry rot and things get rusty.
I only did amps once and I picked a fucking awesome amp.
What'd you pick?
A 64 Princeton Reverb.
It's a pretty terrible amp. That's an amazing amp. I'm kidding. What? You own one?
No, I sold it.
Why?
Because it was $2,700.
Yeah.
And it was ripped up. I redid the Tolex. I did like the filter caps. A friend of mine from Detroit kind of helped me out what to do. And I sold it for like $3,500.
Okay.
Something like that. I just really wanted to get into amps, and then I realized this is not for me.
Super expensive.
But it is. To those out there, obviously amps do make the electric guitar, but when you see an amp for like a few thousand and think, is it better than like the 1,000 one? That was the best amp I've ever played. Yeah. It sounded amazing.
It's worth it, especially
compared
if you
to the
Silvertone
12-inch speaker, $400 tube amp I was using.
Yeah.
It was insane for a 10-inch speaker too.
Yeah. But the thing is, the problem with Fender and those old ones is right now they're good amps, they're great, but most of what you're paying for is the name.
That's true.
Because you can get the Silvertone 1485, which I had in my old house. I don't know if you played out of that. Did you play a keyboard or a steel lap? What did you play when you came in? I don't remember.
Just a guitar.
Did anybody play a keyboard or steel lap? No. You used to play guitar. You went out of the Music Man?
Yeah, the Music Man.
And
because we never played out of Music Man before we played yours.
Right.
We both went, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, the other amp that was there, though, was that a 1960, I believe it was a 65 Sears Silvertone 1485, which is 6 10-inch speakers. It's a very rare amp.
Oh.
Jack White has one, and he's the only person who ever made them remotely popular.
Right.
Because they have massive pros and cons. So 6 10-inch speakers, 175 watt all tube 6 preamp AX7s, 6 power amp. All right, it might be 4 power amp. I believe it's EL34s. Yeah. Or it might be 606. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It's 10 tubes have to go in it, which is a lot. And 175 watts. That thing never went past 2 or 1.5 ever. It was the best amp for handling signal clean or any pedals.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it had so much headroom, it couldn't distort. But it also had so much surface area that you don't have to play it loud to feel and hear a bunch of sound coming at you. Because the one 8 or 10-inch speaker from Princeton, beautiful tone, but it's a tiny signal. It doesn't carry much weight or mass or thickness.
Yeah.
To it. But it's great for recording. It's a great studio amp. It's great putting a mic close to it. But this amp, putting in a synthesizer or an electronic keyboard,
that'd be weird.
Sounds amazing in it because it almost has that beauty and richness and cleanliness of like a solid state technology, but it actually can get distorted and does have some actual tone to it, but way cleaner. And 1965 clean, pure point-to-point, soldering and electronics. But my friend got that amp for $500. And again, it's 60 years old and it's amazing. And it's clean. It sounds great. It's poorly built as far as the physical build of it.
Yeah.
Like really cheap. Like you can break that if you mistreat it. The reverb on it, super finicky. Doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Only has a treble and bass. So no mid, which is a big no-no. If you only have bass and treble and no bass, treble, mid, that's not a big no-no. It's just you can't really dial in really good tones with that.
You're fancy.
Well, it's an older thing. More modern amps started adding a little bit more option. But you might be able to argue there's less circuitry, less filters, so it's more clean voltage, less things to pass through, less loss. I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer. But it's a great amp.
I like when it's just one tone.
Just tone.
Yeah.
That's it.
I want it less or I want it more tone.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's a factor that there really is less things going on, so it might be a cleaner, pure voltage.
I'm a one pickup kind of guitar.
Neck or bridge?
Bridge.
Okay. Bridge, huh?
Do people normally one pickup neck?
I mean, I mostly play with neck.
That's crazy.
Because I play every note. I mean, I'll play all the high-pitched ones, and when you are only doing bridge, it can get a little shrill.
Yeah.
Especially with a Fender, especially with a Jazzmaster, especially if you accidentally click only the bridge pickup on the toggle on the bottom. It is like surf rock 1962 shrill, which is not always desirable. So I like having the selection. I'll hop between them, but the pickups are a lot more hotter with the neck or the bridge on the Jazzmaster. But it depends on what the amp is. Because if you're doing bridge, but your amp is all rolled off in tone and it's got low tone, then it's like you can mix and match tremendously so with that.
Yeah. I mean, the amp I use in the shop is an Ampeg Gemini 2. It's a 15-inch on giant-ass casters.
I'm very familiar with that one. Is there the amp on the back of it sticking up?
Pardon?
Is the amp on the outside of it sticking up?
Yes.
Yeah.
It handles the bass on the Rhodes real well, and I do a lot of Rhodes piano basses. And when it gets all the way down there, the 15 is more than necessary.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely is. These would be great for the Rhodes. These are 4 10-inch, massive.
Oh, stereo?
Yeah. They're really cool.
That's what there's a guy in Indiana right now. He's selling, there was a Rhodes model that was made for 2 big-ass satellite speakers. It had a beefy preamp in it, and it would go out and you'd do stereo. And they weren't too common, but they were pushing some massive voltage. And there's some dude with 2 of them down in Indianapolis with the preamp, just swap in the name rail. But I need to buy it. I need money. I can't be, like at this point, I need to start pushing things out and selling things instead of just getting, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Start doing it. Start selling stuff. Where can people find you selling stuff?
Yeah. So for all the cutesy stuff, my Instagram is Emma Repairs, no space. That's where you find all of my main, where I post.
Is that your last name, Repairs?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's my lifelong calling. We can't live that down.
Just ignore me, everyone.
That's where I post all the things I have for sale. My YouTube is Analog Emma. That's where you find all the repair stuff. To actually find what I sell, it'd be best to go to my Instagram. That's where I'll have the links. Usually it's the Reverb, or if you're local, Facebook Marketplace. My Facebook Marketplace prices are easily $300 to $500 less than Reverb,
Right.
because of the fees.
Yes.
And if you pick it up, I'll give you even less.
I sell everything on Facebook Marketplace. I'm always buying and selling equipment. I sold a bunch this year too. Can't keep everything. But Facebook Marketplace, amazing. Quick. You get a lot of weird stuff. You do. Don't let people come to your house. Meet them at the local CVS, I promise you. But, I mean, you meet some characters. I almost like doing it just to meet the people.
Right.
I'm like, who in the world?
I do want to plug, I will go out and I will buy your keyboard. If you go to my website, it's actually my acoustic piano website. It's emmaspianorepair.com. There's a vintage keyboard section. You can fill out an application, put some photos. I will come to you if you are relatively close, even a few states away. I will drive to you if it is something I deem that I should pick up, and I'll give you a fair market price.
Right. So you sell stuff, fix stuff,
and buy
stuff. Instagram Emma Repairs. Analog Emma
for YouTube.
What about any TikTok or anything?
No.
No.
But I will say with Facebook Marketplace, I've had some wild luck. I wouldn't say luck, but sometimes like it was midnight over the summer, and some dude posted a Hohner pianette. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Hohner pianette. The big thing that Hohner is known for in the keyboard section is their clavinet. Stevie Wonder, bum, 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 Superstition. The pianette was kind of their little brother. This is a German brand, so it was kind of the cheaper Wurlitzer clone. The Beatles used it a lot because they couldn't get a Wurlitzer. You could find it on, like, what's that Walrus song?
I am the Eggman, I am the Walrus.
I don't remember. Something like that. One of those. It was on the rooftop concert. It was in the back behind Billy Preston.
Okay.
But it's
For
really
Let It
cute.
Be, the Let It Be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really cute wooden veneer body, real slim, really cool legs. They're like inverted V's. And it's a really funky sound. It's a really terrible instrument to get reliably playing across the keyboard, which is my job. So the first time I repaired it, which is now my most popular YouTube video, I shit on it so much. I said it was terrible. I said it was a cute sound that I would never touch again. I sold it, and I pretty much regretted it since then. Because it just has, the way it works, it's so fascinating. There are reeds, like the Wurlitzer, but connected to the key is a little sticky pad. And when you press the key down, the pad comes up, brings the reed up, sticky, and then eventually drops it, and then that produces the note when the reed, flickers. And then there's a pickup which magnifies it or amplifies it, and so on. Because of that, you need to change if the stickiness is too much, and you need to make it less. You either clean the pad or you add more oil to the other pads so that it's more sticky. You can see where this is really tedious and really annoying. The first time around, I didn't do that. Now I'm in the process of doing that with the one I bought off Facebook Marketplace. I found this one off Facebook Marketplace. It was 2.5 hours south of me. It was midnight, $500. Great deal. I sold the other one for like $2,000. So I'm like, hey, I can pick this up. Let me know. Text me that night at midnight. Like, hey, yeah, blah, blah, blah. We start texting. I'm like, he's like, yeah, like, let me know. I can like drive whatever, like a few hours, something like that. So I'm like, if I paid you like $100 extra, could you drive up here? He's like, sure. And I'm like, well, what time? He's like, what about tomorrow morning? Which is now like today. And I'm like, sure. Came 11 a.m., extra $100. I paid $600 for it, dropped it off my front door, left.
That's great.
In less than 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that was truly, I think, the best experience I've had on Facebook Marketplace.
That's a good experience.
That should have been an ad for them.
No, that should be. No, it's an amazing place, but yeah, I mean, you having someone just come to your house, I don't let it. I've had one person go to my house to buy some because it was massive speakers. I just couldn't carry to the CVS. I don't
It can
know.
be, when
there's
you're alone.
characters out there.
Like I think now the shop is nice, having that, and there's people. It's a relatively busy little business building.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're very gracious. They let me be loud, within reason.
Residential building.
No, it's a business. It's like a commercial building.
Commercial.
Yeah,
That's the word I was
so
looking
there's
for.
a teachers union across the hall. So I'm pretty much the only. There's an artist upstairs, a photographer, but I have pretty much the whole downstairs. Other than that, it's pretty empty.
Yeah.
But that's where I currently. Wonderful. Please look up your local people because I found a woodworker who does furniture restoration in Joliet, 5 minutes away. He picked up that clavinet I have and the Hohner pianet. He's doing both for like $300 total, totally redoing the veneer. And I mean, price alone, like I'm getting it back next week. So I mean, I've seen his work. It seems good.
Yeah.
But just to have that resource and not have to ship it out or do something like that.
Keep it in-house. Yeah. That's amazing. I know most people, I don't understand. They're like, how do I do this? It's like, first of all, you can just Google everything. It's called 2024. Just Google it. If you have any question, how do I make that more sticky? Just Google it. You will find a Reddit or someone will tell you.
Within reason.
You're probably the person telling them when they Google it.
That's what Facebook, like there's a Hohner Facebook that has a few thousand. But bless, I mean, Alan Lenhoff, Steve Espinola, Ben Bove, like those three kings have single-handedly given me all the information I can ever need in my life about electric pianos. And through
online?
Facebook. Through
On Facebook?
they will find you. If you post, they will find you. And they will probably be very, very kind. And usually if you're coming in the right head and not trying to be like, cocky or dick about it, they will help you out. And they might be a little, sometimes, got a lot of, there's a lot of amateurs coming in and it's like, no, you got to do that. They can get a little cold about it. Like, have you leveled the keys? No, do that. Have you done that? But once you, like, Steve, especially he's a Wurlitzer tech, really. And I have the most issues with Wurlitzers. They're always funky with me. There's always something wrong. And the amount of times he has sent me like 10-minute long audio things. So like, no, maybe that's not it. Just like hearing his thought process and me just studying it. Yeah. And like writing down these things that I don't know if I'll ever, because you don't find, that's why I made the YouTube channel. Yeah. You don't find this information online. No. And then if it is, it's not easy. Yeah. Very, very much esoteric things that are not printed or like harnessed a lot in pop culture. Just too specific and in the weeds and behind the scenes. Yeah, the internet can only go so far. Sometimes the best you'll get is just like people kind of talking about it on like a Reddit. Like that's it. Like literally nothing else. So it's great to have the like pseudo mentors of the world that just love to spread information and help people. Yeah. That's amazing. There was a huge Tropical Fish is another larger Wurlitzer restoration team, a husband and wife team out of New York. They mainly do Wurlitzers, but they went down to the area of the old electric factory down in Alabama or Mississippi, and they bought up all the rest of the schematics. They're going to be tossed out. They were in some storage unit, bought up all of them, and now they're scanning them. Whoa, that's cool. So they have all the logos, all the electric piano stuff, which they did make. Like my 140 was made in DeKalb, where the big, headquarters used to be for Wurlitzer. But they did, most of the 200s are down in Mississippi, Alabama, one of the two. Okay. I didn't know that. But there are just, there are definitely some people that are really making some huge differences in this small but mighty little group. It sounds like you're leading some of the way. I mean, I'm trying. I guess I'm not trying. Now I'm really trying. Before it was like, I'm sorry you had to come to this video, because this is not going to be a great video. My first video was before Analog Emma came because I'm big into reel-to-reel, big into tape, recording on tape, analog. Get it?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
So my first few videos were like, is this tape of The Last Waltz better than the vinyl? Compare. And it was the shittiest comparison. Like, the levels were not level. Like, it was terrible. And it was copyright strike, so you didn't even hear it. So, anywho, it started on that. Then I did covers. And when I got the 140, the Wurlitzer 140, the 140A was only made maybe 1,000 or so, real small numbers. And they had a defect with the screws that hold the reeds in the reed bar. The screw heads like to pop off from threads. Yeah, it's not fun. So mine, even with Steve Espinola's advice, I still had 2 that popped off. And my journey to fix those 2 notes, because when they pop off, the reed's not holding tension. The note's a dud. And you can't, nobody's selling a replacement reed block for a Wurlitzer 140. Believe it or not.
Who would have thought?
So some people, the smart way of doing it would be to drill it out with a drill press and rethread it.
I was just going to say that.
Well, I tried my local machinist shops. I tried a thing. They didn't get me there. Nobody was like, either nobody responded. It was tough. So we thought, fuck it. Let's drill it out ourselves. Kind of crooked.
Did you hand drill or did you have a drill press?
Hand drill.
That's why it's crooked. Drill presses are nice.
My dad, I think, coined the idea. We took just a really long bolt all the way through and just nutted it. Clamped it down. It still works.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell it to anyone.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't convince anyone. But that video was kind of my warning because what I was recommended after the fact or before was the Croyle penetrating oil for like seized screws. That probably would have fixed it. But I didn't have it. So in the video, I'm like, don't be an idiot. Please use this, which I know they'll probably be searching after the fact.
Yeah.
But that's what kind of started my journey in broadcasting
and just being more educated on it and then sharing that with people who just don't have access to it.
Yeah. Which
That's
I've
amazing.
been really self-conscious because there's so many, like whenever I post something or even now when I'm talking about things, I can just picture like someone in the back of my head like, oh no, like Steve being like, well, actually the 140B, you know, there's so much information and so much stuff that goes right out my ear.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like the Piano Technician Guild, someone in the journal, it's like the magazine they put out every month. They wanted me to do an article in there about the electric pianos. So I wrote up, a good write-up, just kind of what I do, the basics on how a piano technician might be able to get into it. And the whole time, dude, I'm just like, no. I'm like, no. Like, too specific. I'm like, someone's gonna clock me on that. Like, well, actually, so it's coming out in November, and I'm really nervous.
I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I'll be framed.
Yeah.
In my shop, I'll probably have a post on the Instagram.
Nervous? Why'd they reach out to you?
Because I'm some 23-year-old girl
Why'd they reach out to you?
Because I'm probably the only one that does it.
So I tell everyone, whenever someone's
I guess that's true.
Claiming imposter syndrome or anything like that, I'm like, well, you wouldn't be unless you're a complete psychopath with the, dark triads of your personality, which is 1% of the world. Then no, it's because you're the right person for that job. There's a reason why you were asked. There's a reason why people pay you to do it. Is this the only job you have right now?
Me?
Yeah. Like doing this?
Yeah.
At 23? Did you go to college for this?
No.
At 23, didn't go to college for it, and it's your full-time job?
Though I did go to community college.
Well, I just meant for this specific task.
No, yeah. It's my full-time job.
All right, then. Who else is doing that?
A few people.
At 23?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. These are all rhetorical questions. That's what I'm good at. But I'm happy for it. It's really cool that you're doing this. I know so little about it, and I've learned a lot. I'm definitely going to watch more of your videos and learn more because What'd you say?
They can be rough in the beginning.
I don't know. I mean, people listen, to all 2.5 hours we've been going. Can you believe it?
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Holy crap.
Yeah, when you have fun.
Oops.
We will end on this, but no, it's great. I learned a lot, and it's really great that you're doing this for such a young age to be interested in very more old technologies, which are beautiful technologies. They are the foundation of all of the digital synths and sounds that we have now that most people have no idea where they truly stem from,
Right.
So I think it's great, and definitely keep doing it. Be careful with the crazy people on the internet. Ignore comments. Have your mentors, listen to them, and just don't listen to anybody else. Like those people you named that you trust, talk to them, and then the rest, just ignore it. Ignore it. Because they're not...
Within reason.
What's up?
Some people have some valid points.
I just ignore every single person. I turned off every single you can leave comments, but I get zero notifications about like anything. So, yeah.
I guess that's fair.
So the comments exist. I'm never gonna control people's speech. Like comment, but I'm not ever gonna engage. Like ever. Like never.
So you never saw that sponsorship deal that I tried giving you.
Yeah, that's probably why I won't get sponsored because I just don't engage.
Huh.
I like to do my thing, talk with people, try to gain some information for myself and for listeners, and then like put it out there. Mostly use it as a platform to promote people doing cool stuff. So that's why I wanted to reach out to you. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This is really fun. This is my first kind of like podcast interview kind of thing.
You're I think that's been happening a lot lately. The last few people I've on, like I've never done this. I'm like, sorry, I'm your first. I hope this is great.
I think it was pretty fun.
It's fun. It goes by quick. That's how you know when it's good, when you're like, I had no idea 2.5 hours went by. That's why I tell the guests like 2-3 hours.
So when do I come back?
I don't know. When maybe in the spring?
Okay. I'm on next week. I don't know.
I gotta put you with some guests between
I
you.
Get you. Then there'll be like the drop off of the viewership. They'll be like, fuck.
Well, we'll have new things to talk about. You could put a little more time.
That's
Who
true.
knows?
Yeah.
You might have a new shop by then. You might have a cooler client. Maybe
Retired.
Yeah, you retired by then. Maybe you buy new guitars. Maybe you discovered new cool amps that are better for the keyboards than what you previously thought.
And I got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I could.
You've iced the surface.
Well, again, everyone can find you on Instagram, Emma Repairs, on YouTube, Analog Emma, and then your website,
EmmasPianoRepair.com.
Emma's Piano Repair, and then on Google, just that stuff would pop up.
Yeah.
Great. Out in Plainfield, Illinois. Thank you for coming on here and driving all the way from Plainfield to here. I will be driving past you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I will be roughly 32.5 miles away, which will be right at 126. Yeah. Very specific. Yeah. I'm exactly 44.2 miles away from underneath I-80 from right here. Exactly. Where I-80 goes over I-55. It's I'm sorry.
You take because you'd be...
You got to take I-55 all the way down. Yeah, it's faster than 57 to 80. It's faster than 57 down to
I guess
80.
that makes sense.
Yeah, because you go around. Yeah. So I'll be driving past your house tomorrow morning.
I'll see you then in my dreams.
Thank you, Emma, for coming on.
Well, thank you.
And just keep doing what you're doing. It's super fascinating, not common to find. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate you appreciating me. Cool.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for watching.
Ciao.